you.
Okay. Okay.
So, members of the council, Madam Mayor, the microphones this morning are having some tech issues. The zombies came in last night and attacked us. So our tech team has to manually turn your microphones on and off. So if you can indicate to us when you are ready to speak, we would be happy to assist. And that goes as well for the city attorney's office. We're hoping to resolve it, but as of right now, water bottles up would be the appreciated method of indication.
Okay.
And Madam Mayor, your mic is live, so if you're ready to call the meeting to order, we are all set.
I am. Good morning, everyone. I am ready to call this meeting to order. I guess that's habit. For Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. And with me, before we begin some of our city business, I want to introduce everyone to our future mayor, Jocelyn Luke. Good morning. How are you?
Good,
How are you feeling?
good.
Good? Okay, good. We're excited that you're here. You are a fourth grader, correct, at Alice Smith Elementary, right? And she is joined by her teacher, Lori. Hello, thank you for being here this morning. And her mom, Vanessa. Vanessa, where are you? There you are. Hi, Mom. And, okay, so just a couple of side notes. I hear you love pink. We couldn't tell, right? I love pink, too. And then your favorite food is hamburger?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a girl that's after my heart. I love a hamburger, right? Okay, and guess what else? You also love dogs, is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, well, then you and I definitely have a lot in common. All right, so I hear you've been practicing. We're going to start out with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
Are you ready? All right, everyone, please stand and join Jocelyn for the pledge. Okay, ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow, great job, future mayor. But I actually heard do you want to be a teacher? All right, we need more teachers, right? Why don't you just say a few words, because I think teachers are so instrumental in what we do every day.
Okay.
You want to, Lauren?
Yes, sure. My name's Lori Henderson. I'm a teacher at Alice Smith Elementary School. I teach K through 5 strategies, which is a self-contained program for students with autism. I've been working really hard to do inclusion with my students in general education classes. And we're here today because Jocelyn had a lesson on government. And she was surprised when we learned we have a female mayor. So she wanted to ask some questions, and that's why we're here today. Yeah.
Well, we're really
So I
glad
appreciate
that
that.
you're here. Thank
Yes.
you. We haven't scared you away. You've been here for what, 15 minutes? All right, good. We're still holding on. Okay, fantastic. All right, Madam Clerk, I'm going to send it to you for roll call.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We're calling to order the Wednesday, June 5th City Council meeting. Councilmember Breckus. Dewar.
Here.
Martinez.
Here.
Ebert, absent at this time.
Here.
Here.
Sheevy.
Here.
Madam Mayor, you do have a quorum of the Reno City Council.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm going to send it right back to you, Madam Clerk, for item 83, public comment.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members of the public may hear, observe, and provide public comment virtually by registering through the following link, which can be found on reno.gov/meetings. https://reno.gov/LINKS:/COUNCIL06-05. It should be noted for those in the audience that comments are to be addressed to the mayor and council as a whole. Comments heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the council's agenda. Council may not take action upon any matter not agendized on today's agenda. When you're called on for public comment, please state your name for the record and begin speaking. The timer will begin when you state your name, and you will be afforded 3 minutes. For those participating in chambers, in accordance with Council Rules 6.3.11, while in this room, please be respectful. Disruptive behavior from audience members like clapping, yelling, whistling, etc., which impede the meeting, may result in a warning issued by the presiding officer. If this behavior continues, you may be removed from chambers. If you're an attendee in the Zoom meeting and would like to make public comment, please raise your hand at this time. Our first public commenter today is Dr. Chad Kingsley, followed by George Campione, followed by Connie Silviera.
Chad Kingsley, District Health Officer for Washoe County. I'm sorry, what's that?
What's your title?
Chad Kingsley, District Health Officer for Washoe County for the Northern Nevada Public Health.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Nice to have you.
Good morning, Mayor and council members. Here just to introduce myself and about my 4th week on the job here, going around and meeting everybody in the community. My family's shortly moving up here. Excited to be here and part of this community, but just want to come and offer anything that you guys would need, anything. Looking forward to working towards better for our community, for our members, making a difference in where we can, and being able to improve the health of our community members. So just coming in to introduce myself and say welcome. So thanks.
That's
Okay.
fantastic.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to Reno. Where are you from?
Las Vegas.
Oh, well, we'll hold that
I know,
against you.
born
for
and
sure.
raised, 3rd generation Nevadan, but finally making it to the north. So
Okay,
yes.
good.
So.
At least you're battle born. We love it.
Yes.
All right. Well, nice to
Great.
meet you. Thanks for
Great.
coming.
Thank you.
George Campione, followed by Connie Silviera, followed by Terry Brooks.
George Campione. I'm here to talk about accountability. This right here is a case of accountability, all right? This was a ticket that was given to me back in 2016, crossing that busy street of Evans, all right? And they were able to issue a ticket for me. I was accountable for my jaywalking, which at the time was a misdemeanor. Here is a example of someone not being held accountable. Lawana Isles Johnson. She assaulted me on the Riverwalk. All right? Now, no, she didn't hit me, all right? But it was assault. It took the police a minimum of 20, upwards of 40 minutes to show up, all right? I was a legal vendor, okay? I paid my taxes. All right? I should have been represented in court. All right? The day of the court proceedings on this that was supposed to take place, all right, they called me up and said I was not going to be needed. All right? That was about 10 o'clock in the morning. At 1, when this was supposed to take place, I get a call from whoever was prosecuting the case and said, oh, look, we're going to take it, but we're going to do it for disturbing the peace. That's what they do, okay? Now, I have another person. This right here is a report, all right, that I made about that RV that has been roaming my district. He tried to hit me. Whatever. Okay, he intimidated me according to this. Focus that so they can see this. There we go. Come on now. And the point is, all right, this person is not going to be held accountable either, most likely. All right, but I am. I'm going to keep after him. All right, he revved his engine, came at me. I was walking a dog, which I do every day now, and I avoided him. But this is an untagged, unregistered vehicle that he is roaming our streets on that needs to be taken off our streets by the police department. The police are not pulling over cars that are untagged or unregistered. This is a fact, okay? Why are you not pulling over the cars? All right? This is not being held accountable. This is our problem. We are not holding people accountable any longer. All right? So let's do something. Hey, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, Connie, I messed up the order. Vanessa Tillinghast, followed by Connie Silviera, followed by Terry Brooks. My apologies.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, I'm Vanessa, and I just wanted to thank you again for giving my daughter Jocelyn the opportunity and me and Mrs. H to be here today, and we're really excited to be with you guys and have this experience.
Well, thank you for bringing her, Mom.
Yeah.
You did a great job with the Pledge of Allegiance. I was proud of you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You have a nice mom. Does she make you lots of cookies?
Connie Silviera, followed by Terry Brooks, followed by Jerry Mifsud.
Hi, my name's Connie Silvera. Hi, Jocelyn. It's nice to see you here.
Hi.
Well, I'm back to just give you an update on the Liston Park. As you can see, like I said before, thankfully, several slides were replaced, but we still have this one that's in pretty bad shape. And so I just wanted to update you on that. And while I was there, I had some other moms tell me about some other parks that were in the same condition. So I did a little checking, and I found this at Wilkinson Park. This one's in pretty bad shape as well. And then also over at Stewart Street Park, this one. And I hate to just keep complaining, so I did a little checking yesterday, and I went online and I did find a few other options that seemed to be affordable. Because I understand that it's been over a year that these slides have been in this condition, and it's going to be another 6 months at least before we get these fixed. So I thought it might be worth looking at some other options, and maybe the suppliers, look at some other suppliers, replacement with something less expensive maybe, or possibly even a retrofit. There are companies that sell slides and that could be retrofitted to that area. And then lastly, possibly just use the old slides. I was looking at them. I was in construction for years, and they are kind of modular. So it looks like maybe you could take a section off and do this plastic welding, filling with fillers. Just a suggestion maybe the folks could take a look at. And the other thing was, last time I did give you a slide on some available things on Marketplace, on Facebook Marketplace. One of them has lowered the price to $3,000. It's in Carson City. And it looks like a really nice structure. I think it's the yellow and blue one. So you might look back at that and see if maybe there isn't something there that possibly, just as options, because like I say, I hate to just keep coming and complaining. I'd like to see if there's another solution. We're not looking at a grand new fancy structure, just making it safe for the kids. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Have you met with Nathan Elliott from Parks?
We've emailed, I believe.
Okay, I would love for you to sit down with him. I know we have a schedule to make sure that these all get retrofitted. But it's really helpful when you come and identify those parks that need it, and especially summer, because it's really immediate. And now you're telling me you need playground equipment at your school. So we will contact the school district. Thank you so
good.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. And I believe Nathan's coming down, so I will point him in your direction. Okay.
Terry Brooks, followed by Jerry Mifsud, followed by Stephen C. White.
Good morning. It's me, Terry Brooks again. And today I'm sharing my presentation on culture and employment when it comes to discrimination. When discriminators prevent those of other cultures from being employed, then they criticize people of other cultures for being less employed. Some employers won't hire people who refuse to work on Fridays, or refuse to work on Saturdays, or refuse to work on Sundays. But if they want their business to be open all 7 days of the week, then if they hire some of all three cultures, then they can be open all days of the week. Some employers discriminate against people because of their cultural language. But if they hire them, they can communicate in more of their customers' language. Then, when you have several diverse workers who know several ways to communicate, then you have fewer problems with customers who communicate. With multiculturalism, you have more collaboration, which will then lead to more appreciation. With multiculturalism, you have more interaction, which will then lead to more innovation. With multiculturalism, you are more interactive, which will then lead to being more productive. With multiculturalism, you have more diversity, which will then lead to having more creativity. When you have workers of many cultures instead of just one, it's a lot easier to get a lot more done. If your toolbox has lots of tools that are mixed, it's a lot easier to get things fixed. If you have a lot of workers with different points of view, then there won't be anything that you cannot do. I would like to thank you all for listening to me today, and I look forward to coming back when I got a lot more to say.
Thank you so much. Terry, where are we at?
Oh, this is chapter 32. Just so you know, I've only got 14 more chapters to go.
Thank you so much. Clever.
Jerry Mifsud, followed by Stephen C. White, followed by Benjamin Castro.
Thank you for your service, young man. Welcome home. How do you like that for an entrance? Now, give me a minute, okay? I woke up late. I had a date last night. Now, I'm a single guy. I'm single. You mind if I have some? I remember you banned people who brought water in here because you have new rugs, Hillary.
No.
Oh, how do you like my new rug?
Say
I don't
hello
know
to
why
Jocelyn.
we shouldn't have children in here. They could learn something, but the chief of police corrected I didn't even say my name. She said, don't swear when you come up there. What the hell? Okay. Well, glad you could make it, Megan. Okay. My name is Jerry Mifsud. Now you should start the time, Mickey. You just cheated me out of 30 seconds. How long do you think I got to live? Okay. Hi, Hillary. Let's see here. The way to get me off this comment section, you realized a long time ago, was to invite me to the neighborhood NAB board. NAB. Are you listening, Hillary?
I sure am. Writing my notes.
Anyway, so I joined the NAB board. I have a new round of people that I'm going to pick on, so I'm going to leave Carl Hall alone, because Miguel, you usually walk out when I pick on poor Carl. Look how short he is. Look how short the mayor is. She's sitting on 3 telephone books right now.
He's almost right.
Well, let's laugh, little folks here. I could really tick you all off, but so I joined this NAB board. Now, I can't mention the lady's name because she's brilliant. A liaison, I think you call them a liaison, or whatever. How's the word said?
Liaison.
That's good. I knew we paid you big bucks to help me. Okay. And she's brilliant. She's sitting in this room right now. Yep, there she is. But her problem was she couldn't communicate the different rules that I needed to follow and procedure about being on the board. She'd do this. Had this little hissy fit. I'm saying, hey, I'm an adult, just tell me the rules. But again, she's a real brilliant person. She knows her job, except she just doesn't know how to communicate with people. And I didn't mention your name. How do you like that? Okie dokie. 3 minutes is not enough. You got to give me more time than that. REMSA in the room. The REMSA people do a hell of a job. I saw a Vietnam vet here, right here in the front. He tried to trip me on the way up here. God bless you. Thank you for your service. You see a Vietnam vet, say to him, welcome home, son, because you didn't hear that 60 years ago. God bless you. Well, looks like I have to go now, Hillary. Thanks for the water. You're so charming. Kmart is selling that lipstick that you use all the time. They're running out.
Thanks, Jerry.
Stephen C. White, followed by Benjamin Castro, followed by David Shakar.
Bye, Jerry. Have a nice day. Mr. White, what a surprise.
Hello there, Mayor.
So nice to see you. This is
Good
my
to see
big
you.
arts advocate.
I can't hear a thing, by
That's
the
all
way.
right. I
I'm
can't hear
totally
very
deaf, can't hear a thing. 10 years ago,
Oh, my,
you remember that picture?
oh my goodness.
You broke ranks and came and met with me at the radio station, and we sat down and talked.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
this was 11 years after I won a federal lawsuit against your city. And after our conversation, you made arrangements for me to meet with Jenny and Oscar, and we sat down and talked with them, and they learned a lot. And I guess all of you went to Mayor Cassell and talked to him, and the next council meeting I went to, got up to speak, and the mayor kind of stopped me. He turned to the attorneys and asked me if they'd ever sat across the table from me, and I said no, and he told me he wanted it to happen within the next 2 weeks. And I said, well, it's okay. He asked me if it was okay with me, and I said it was okay with me. And at least one city council member was there, and you put up your hand, and you said, I'll be there, Mr. White. And there we found ourselves in a conference room in the top floor of City Hall, me sitting across from city attorneys and you at the end of the table. I guess I took him to law school for about 2.5 hours. we walked out of there. I remember you put your hand on my shoulder and you said, you know, Mr. White, I've never seen that done before. And 2 weeks later, they sent me the artist codes. And it sent them to me for approval. And I rewrote some of the language in those codes. And those are the codes that got passed 10 years ago. And Reno became the first city in the entire country to have codes that honor the constitutional rights of fine artists in America. You know, I saw you on Morning Joe talking about the mental health crisis. Brings me back to Columbine. I've been working on that problem for 25 years. Trying to bring beauty to the world, trying to bring people together through the fine arts. Pretty sad that I've had to be involved in 3 federal lawsuits to make that happen. I hope you and I can sit down, talk together, you know. Let's have a meeting. Let's figure out a way we can create family art in the park, family fine art in the park, and start bringing people together and put smiles on people's faces and inspiring people and getting people to know their neighbors. And I want to remind everybody, the fine arts are the single greatest tool we have as a society for building bridges of understanding between all these people that make this multitude of humanity that we call America. We've got to promote the fine arts. We've got to preserve it. We've got to encourage it at all levels. I do this fight. I've been fighting this for all these years for your kids. I don't have any children. I don't even have any family. I do this for your children, for your family. I do it for the very fabric of our society because somebody's got to do it, and I guess the Creator gave me the ability to do it, and so I have to. And it's not fun. You know, it's fun talking to you, Mayor, but it's not fun what I'm doing. It's very stressful. I spent hours writing up these papers I gave you, and I hope you all read them.
Where are they?
God bless you. Thank you for your service.
Where are they? Oh, here. Is this it?
I'm going to leave this one paper here for you. It's a paper that Barack Obama sent me.
Okay. All right. I want to see it for sure. And lastly, of course, I always love to sit down with you. You have been instrumental in our city.
I can't hear it, Mayor.
Here, come here really quick.
You have to write it down.
I got to write it. Well, okay, let me just scream. How are the bunnies? Any bunnies? Do you have any bunnies at your house?
I can't hear a thing in here. I'm totally deaf.
Mr. Shakar,
I'm older now, but I'm still running against the wind.
Mr. Shakar, ask him
He'll
how
tell me.
the bunnies are.
Bunny rabbits. How are the
Bunny rabbits. You remember you were taking care of all those bunnies. Anyway, my friend, thank you so much for being here and all the work that you've done in our city for artists. You have truly changed the landscape of how we, completely embraced art. And it really started with you, and we worked on a lot of those together. So I want to say thank you so much. And it's so nice to see you. And oh my goodness, those pictures, my hair was nice and long, and now it's all falling out. Anyway, thanks so much for being here. Madam Clerk.
Benjamin Castro, followed by David Shakar, followed by Bill Shrimpf.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Mayor, Assistant Manager Hodge, council members. My name is Benjamin Castro. For the record, my phone locked on me when I was trying to look up some data. I apologize for that. I'm the Executive Director of the Reno Initiative for Shelter and Equality. Good to see you, Councilman Reese. Sorry I didn't get a chance to hang out at the Holly Festival. I had to get the kids out of there. I was on Countdown to Meltdown, but that's not why I'm here. So the reason I'm here is to give you an update on the River Stewards program that we launched last month. You may remember that the whole point was that we were directly employing people who were unsheltered and living close to the river, and we were going to recruit them to clean up trash as an engagement tool to explore pathways to housing. So where we're at right now, we have 7 contractors that we have employed. I'm not going to use their names, but some of them have been unsheltered in our community for, I think the most senior one has got about 13 years. So about as long as I've been doing this. The less senior one has about 5 years. So I don't like this terminology, but they would definitely be classified as either service resistant or as anchors in our community, and especially in the unsheltered community. Just to give you some stats, we started off at Mayberry Park and we started working west. We stopped at the McCarran and West Street Bridge, and we've been kind of tackling that area. It looks like they pulled 87 50-gallon bags of trash from underneath that area and surrounding areas. So that's been about 2 weeks. And there's some other areas that we're tackling. Definitely want to make sure to coordinate with Nathan and Matt and the Parks and Recs team there, so that way we're coordinating efforts and not duplicating them. But some of the big successes for me is that we're taking people who are in the pre-contemplation phase or denial of their scenario, and they are starting to move towards contemplating change. And then that's where we can lateral them over to our outreach team, start working with hand, and ultimately start getting them off the river and housed. And preferably, like I had mentioned last time, give them permanent spots as part of the RISE team. So far it's still pretty early, but we're seeing a lot of success. And I just wanted to thank you that none of this would be possible if we didn't start that journey here together about 3 years ago now. So I hope you all have a nice day, and I'll be back with more updates when I have them.
Thanks so much, Ben. You're remarkable. You have done such a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Quite honestly, thank you so much. Keep these updates coming, because that initiative is really, really important to us, especially since it's summertime, so people can enjoy the river. So thank you.
Awesome. Have a great day, guys.
Bye, Ben.
David Shakar, followed by Bill Shrimpf, followed by Bill Miller.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and future mayor sitting to your left and honored councilman. My name is David Shakar. I'm a fast sketch artist, and I've been making a good living in Reno ever since you, with Bob Cashell, had passed the Reno Artist Codes, allowing for the expression of what we do as an artist. And I'm here not with a complaint, but I've got a couple of suggestions for the city. Oftentimes, whenever there's a permitted event, a special event, Hot August Nights or things of that nature, the free speech areas that are mandated by law to be set up for artists, they have to be either inside the event or outside the event. Oftentimes, I remember a couple of years ago at Hot August Nights, they put me 3 blocks away from where the event was. What it says in the Reno Municipal Code for the free speech areas is that Reno Municipal Code 5.13.045, free speech areas shall be located inside or immediately adjacent to special event venues where they will not unreasonably isolate speakers from attending public or unreasonably interfere with permitted activities, crowd flow, or normal or emergency city functions. And I'd just like to request that whenever a map is drawn up, that please make sure that it's adjacent to the event and not blocks away. I have a suggestion for the city attorney. Mr. Hall, a lot of times the event promoters are now requiring artists to have a business license or a permit, and that violates Reno Municipal Code Chapter 5.13.045, and that could subject the city and possibly the event promoter to federal civil rights violation. Because it says right here in the code that if you are an artist exhibiting or selling your own self-created artwork that has no utilities, you do not need a license or permit to do that on public property, and that is in contradiction to what many of the event promoters are now requiring. If you don't have a business license or their permit that they want you to have, they will sell you a business license, a temporary one, for $30. That's against the law. And Mr. Hall, really appreciate it if you would be able to contact any event promoters, and please make sure that for the Reno artists or any artist that is selling their own self-created art that has no utility, that we don't need a business license or a permit. This is the 10th anniversary when you, Hillary Sheevy, with Bob Cashel, made art legal, and I thank you for that. Please continue do the good job.
Thank you, my friend.
Bill Shrimp, followed by Bill Miller, followed by Barry Duplantis.
Bill, do you mind if I have Jocelyn get back to school? I don't want to get in trouble.
Absolutely. I just wanted to say good morning to her and to her teacher. Thank you for encouraging engagement.
Thank you so much.
Both of you enjoy your summer.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick picture, and then I'm going to call you back up. Thanks. Thanks, Bill. Okay, let's take a quick picture. Brian over here is going to, so everyone get in. Come on. Okay, ready? On 3, we're going to suck it in, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1 for Mom. Mom, did you get it? You did? Okay. All right. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for teaching our children and all that you do. We're going to come and look at the ground stuff. I would rather hear the wood chips on the ground. Yes, those are great. Okay. All right, Mom. Thank you so much for coming. All right. Bye. All right.
All right, Mr. Shrimp.
Bill, come on up. Thank you so much for allowing the time. Go ahead.
Oh, gentleman's letter's still here. Is that yours? All right. Well, good morning. My name is Bill Shrimp. First thing I want to say, when you say good things happening, I love seeing kids and youth involved here. Every time you guys have kids here for one reason or another, I think it's a positive thing. Another positive thing that I heard about yesterday in my own house, one of the high school kids in my house involved in some sort of ride-along program with the city police over the summer, which I think is pretty cool because this particular kid in my house is interested in criminal justice, and she's like, yeah, Mom, I'm going to be busy this summer doing ride-along.
Good.
So I think that's pretty cool that that the city's doing these types of things and engaging people, particularly younger people. And I want to share a story about engagement that you've heard from me before, but this time, again, it hit my personal house. Well, my family member's house. And that is, my sister, who lives a couple blocks away from Mount Rosa Elementary, called me, and she was very upset because of something that we've all seen. I know you guys certainly experience it, and that is she saw some post on a social media platform that talked about a development project like a block away from her house. And the post was maybe directionally accurate, but certainly had a lot of things that were wrong with it. Once I looked at it, she shared it with me. The post was inflammatory at best. After she shared the post with me, I looked it up, looked up the stuff on the website, and said, nah, the stuff in the post, these two things are wrong, and this is what's really happening. And it's a good project. It has to do with Catholic Charities and Reno Housing Authority. You know, some good things are happening here. But that was totally missed in the social media post. So as another opportunity to engage people who are renters, let's send these kinds of notices to people who rent. Please. This is like the 4th or 5th time I've made this request. This is cheap. This is easy. We already do it for mobile home parks as a course of state law, okay? But there's no reason why we can't take an extra little step and do it for people who live in apartments or maybe rent the place where they live. If my sister had been notified through this, perhaps she would have ended up at a NAB. Maybe she could have talked to the developer and the Reno Housing Authority and gotten good information instead of some of the garbage that she saw on the various social media posts about this. And I know that's something that's sensitive to you guys. You see it, you hear it, you feel it, you know it probably better than most people because of the jobs you have. So this is cheap, this is easy. We already know how to do it. There's no need to build giant databases. We already have all this information. The city manager's office has the tools you need to do it. You have it. We just need somebody to say, hey guys, let's do this thing. Let's quit treating renters as second-class citizens, because that's kind of what this hails back to, is the whole landlord concept. Well, you're not the lord of the land, so why should we notify you? That's what this dates back to. So let's do a good thing and get more people engaged, just like we're doing with these kids. So appreciate your help and attention on this.
Love it,
Thank
Bill.
you. Have a great meeting today, guys.
Thanks so much.
Bill Miller, followed by Barry Duplantis, followed by Matthew Wilkie.
Thanks.
Good morning.
Councilman, staff, and fellow citizens.
This fine June 5th morning, a day that promises to be very hot, perhaps even record-breaking. I'm Bill Miller, a retired hospice chaplain, a climateer, and advocate for a livable climate in our fair city. Because of that, I'm here to speak in favor of Agenda Item B.21 for the city to accept $25,000 donation for Relief Reno from the Nevada Energy Foundation. The need for more trees in Reno is urgent, almost beyond comprehension. Fact, according to KUNR reporting, the average summer temperature in Reno from 1970 to 2022 has increased by 11.1 degrees Fahrenheit. Fact, according to AP analysis, heat-related deaths in Nevada increased from 169 in 2022 to 226 in 2023. That's a 33% increase in just 1 year. Fact, according to treeequityscore.org, adequate tree covering on a city block can provide up to 10 degrees of cooling. 10 degrees of cooling. That nearly zeroes out our alarming 50-year summer temperature increase. Fact, Reno's tree canopy is currently 5.2%. According to AmericanForest.org, a realistic optimal canopy in a desert city would be 15%. 15% is optimal, and Reno currently has 5.2. We have a long way to go in a short amount of time to get there. Therefore, I encourage the council to accept this grant. I also want to thank you for your foresight in creating Relief Reno and urge further action. Let's get to that 15% target soon.
Let's find creative ways to incentivize all homeowners and apartment complex owners, especially those in low-income neighborhoods who can least afford the protection that benefits everyone, to care for these trees. Global heating is here now. It is literally killing us. 226 Nevadans last year alone. Now is the time to act. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Great comments.
Barry Duplantis, followed by Matthew Wilkie, followed by Catherine Schmidt.
Madam Mayor, Reno City Council members, my name is Barry Duplantis, CEO and President of REMSA for the record. In the May 22nd, 2024 City Council meeting, there was significant discussion on public hearing item C2, affecting EMS and fire services to the citizens of the Verdi community. As I listened to the community's public comments and discussion, I felt there was significant confusion about EMS availability in the Verdi area. REMSA is a regionalized provider of EMS services in most areas of Washoe County, whether urban, rural, or even frontier. I'd like to assure the citizens of the Verdi community that REMSA stands ready to provide timely EMS services to all citizens. REMSA currently has 53 ambulances and an additional 16 on order, for which we will be receiving in the coming months and quarters of the year. That'll certainly bolster our fleet size to serve the community and replace units that are aging, as well as prepare for the expansion of our community, not just the city of Reno, but also in the periphery of Sparks and areas of the county. Lastly, I would welcome an opportunity to participate in a Verdi community meeting to assure the residents that REMSA is fully staffed and capable of supporting their needs as the community grows. We look forward to working with the city to address the needs of the Verdi community. That said, before I go, because this is a very important issue, I think, for all of us, I'd like to introduce you to REMSA's Dispatch Center Director, Ms. Shannon Popovich, to make an introduction. Shannon?
Hello. Nice to meet you all, Council and Mayor. My name is Shannon Popovich. I'm the Director of REMSA Dispatch, for the record. Prior to coming to REMSA, I was the Director of Emergency Communications for the City of Santa Monica. I was there for 18 years. I managed police, fire, and medical centers in different configurations, freestanding, co-located, or regionalized. Since being here, I've developed a good relationship with Cody and Elena in Reno's Dispatch Center, where we collaborate regularly regarding calls for service and how to better the dispatch system in our area. While in Southern California, I worked on regionalization projects with our area partners, Beverly Hills, Culver City, the City of Los Angeles Fire Department, for ways to better serve the communities there. Just before leaving Santa Monica, we completed a CAD build project that went live 2 days before I left there. And now I'm overseeing the REMSA participation in the regional CAD build project, which is, by the way, ahead of schedule. My wife grew up in Washoe County, which makes me even more excited to be part of serving this community and realizing the regionalization that we're doing here. And I'm also proud to announce that REMSA was just awarded Emergency Fire Dispatch Accreditation, which is one of 2 in Nevada. So thank you.
That's
Pleasure
awesome.
meeting you.
Well, welcome to Reno. That's so cool. So Shannon, I'm hearing you're an absolute rock star.
Oh, that's amazing.
So she grew up in Washoe County?
She grew up in Sparks, but I didn't want to say
Well, we won't
Sparks
hold-
here, you
yeah,
know?
thanks for not saying that. No, I'm just kidding. We love Sparks too.
Well,
But very cool. Santa Monica is no joke. I know that, the population there and everything that they deal with. I actually just met with your mayor there, but they rotate. Like every year they rotate their mayor. So it's kind of interesting how they do that. But I know a lot about your public safety system, and it's really, really complex. And so I've heard that you are just top notch and an expert in this field, and we're excited that you're here, and we're excited to have you. And I would just say, Barry, thank you so much. And anytime that those items come on the agenda, would you please show up so you can give your feedback and comments? Because I think it's so critical that we're working with every single provider regionally, because we all know that if we work together regionally, we'll be much, much safer and much better off. So thank you, and welcome
Thank you.
to Reno.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Barry, for coming.
Matthew Wilkie, followed by Catherine Schmidt, followed by Robin Palmer via Zoom.
Very good morning, Mayor Sheevy and members of the council. My name is Matthew Wilkie, for the record, and I'm here to address the urgent need for what I won't use affordable but attainable housing, especially in the 0 to 30 AMI space. In the bracket when it comes to the city. Councilmember Reese's comment at the last CHAB meeting regarding the lack of progress in this area is deeply concerning, despite efforts such as sewer credits, layered financing, and density bonuses, we have not seen significant development in these lowest income brackets. While it is commendable that the unsheltered population has decreased, we have actually seen an increase in homeless numbers according to Dana Searcy and the county. Also, according to Dana and HMIS data, the last 4 months of the quarter, we have seen an increase in people entering homelessness instead of exiting homelessness. With that said, I would like to bring to your attention something that's been talked about in this room many times, the CAC, or the Community Assistance Center. I know that item was pulled and is going to be re-agendized for an RFP. I would like to see potentially, when that RFP process does come back out, to prioritize the need for that 0 to 30 AMI space and give priorities to developers that are willing to develop in that 0 to 30 AMI space. Because we literally cannot afford to let the lowest income brackets get to that homelessness numbers. We hear Dana Searcy, we hear the county, all these numbers. We are making progress, but it's not quite enough. So I'd like to see potentially City of Reno property that you're trying to dissolve of, go to these developers that is designated to the 0 to 30 AMI space. So I think it's time to put our money where our mouth is and build that 0 to 30 AMI space. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.
Thank you, Matthew. Great comments.
Thank you.
Catherine Schmidt, followed by Robin Palmer via Zoom, and William Mantle via Zoom.
Good morning, council members, Mayor Sheevy, and Assistant City Manager. I get nervous, so I have to read from these notes. I'm sorry.
You're fine. Don't worry about it. Take your time.
I want to thank you for allocating $2.1 million of the state's received ARPA funds to the Truckee River. The 18-mile stretch from the state line to Sparks, that's a huge part of our river. And I walk along there daily with my dog. I pick up trash. I was so excited to see at the council meeting where you approved the closed trash cans. It's super important for us to have those. And after Memorial Day, I logged between trash cans, one space between Booth Street and Idlewild Park. There isn't a trash can for 3/10 of a mile. And I think, paying attention to these details is really important. So I'm here to comment on agenda item D1. I'm not in favor of it or against it. They're just comments. I'm concerned that the dig plan is not yet complete. People haven't had a chance to comment on it and look at an overall plan before we start spending big bits of money, $2.1 million in today's agenda item. But we're spending it on lighting, painting, and corridor design when I think maybe we could be using it on implementation of making the current path better. And I'm concerned that the goals of the dig plan do not address vegetation and tree cover, as someone mentioned earlier. These are super critical for our river health and are also what brings people down to the river. Part of agenda item D1 is a redesign for Arlington to Booth Street. That's most of the residents' favorite part of the river. So when we talk about redesigning these pieces, I think it's critical to get public input and to get an overall vision before we start. And lastly, as highlighted in the Reimagine Reno Master Plan, Section 7.1, the entire corridor is environmentally sensitive area. And I don't think the dig plan reflects that It reflects public safety, vitalization, those kinds of things, but I don't see the importance of vegetation and tree cover and protection of wildlife and river health. So I'm asking, like, similarly to what you directed staff with the trash cans, that they be closed, that any lighting considerations are dark sky friendly, that they don't impede wildlife or impact the fish in the river, not only along the river corridor, but everywhere. Like, I think we're underestimating the importance of the natural environment down there. So thank you for listening today, and I'll leave these with the clerk.
All right,
Thank you.
Catherine, thank you so much for your comments. My hope is to form a Truckee River board. I think you would be fantastic. What's your background? Sounds like you really know this.
Friends of Lake Park is one thing.
Awesome.
I'm just advocating for the environment. Like, I think it gets lost when we try to improve public safety sometimes. We think, oh, bright lights are great, without considering how that impacts the birds and the wildlife and the river itself.
Yeah, you got to keep coming back. I love your comments.
Thank you.
And then I'm also going to have staff meet with you because there's another component that's not in here, but, you know, talking about that riverbed and it gets eroded. And so to your point, making sure all those shrubs and we're also doing that in conjunction with the flood board. So it's like a lot of moving pieces, but it's really complex, as you know. And we need people at the table that are really watching and continuing to make sure. It's hard to believe our river does not have any sustainable financial efforts. So keep advocating. But I want your number, so will you please give it to Madam Clerk? Thank you.
It looks like Robin Palmer has lowered her hand, so our final public commenter today is William Mantle via Zoom. Oh.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Thank you. Please state your name for the record and begin speaking.
Thanks, William Mansell for the record. Hello and good morning. My comment is for C1, the abandonment of the alley between LaRue Avenue and Martin Street. I just wanted to state that the staff report states there is no material injury to the public, but this really neglects to assert that there is no material gain for the public either. As such, I'm really not in favor of this request, and it should be denied. We have had this property for over 100 years in Reno, and if there's a use by an applicant for public property, I think they can engage meaningfully in a lease of that property for the duration of the use that they're seeking, so that we retain as much property for our citizens as possible, that the applicant gets a use for it that we all think is perhaps useful and is reviewed as useful, but we retain that control. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Great, thanks, William.
Robin Palmer via Zoom.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
We can. Thank you. Please state your name for the record and begin speaking.
Good morning, Mayor Sheevy and council members. I am Robin Palmer. I intended to ride my bike and be there in person this morning, but rural Lakeside is closed due to road destruction. Regarding B21, I encourage acceptance of the donation from Nevada Energy for the Relief Reno program. I think that I shall never see any other climate crisis mitigation measure lovely as a tree. Urban forests are low-hanging fruit for climate mitigation. Trees are one of the most cost-effective strategies to make our city more resilient to climate change. Trees remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, thus decreasing greenhouse gases. Trees increase urban biodiversity. Trees provide natural cooling, and I don't need to remind you that Reno is the fastest warming city in the nation. Trees improve health and well-being of residents by decreasing high blood pressure, decreasing stress, and supporting better mental health. And trees are aesthetically pleasing. I thank Nevada Energy for offering this generous donation. However, donation to Relief Reno does not change my opposition to Nevada Energy's proposed rate restructuring. Nevada Energy is requesting that the Public Utilities Commission of Nevada, PUCN, allow an approximately threefold increase in their base rate. The base rate is the amount we, Nevada Energy customers, pay before flipping a single light switch. If approved, this increase will hurt low-income families who tend to be low energy users. Since Nevada Energy's proposal decreases the rate paid for electricity a little, if approved, it rewards more affluent families who tend to be high energy users. Those of us who have solar homes will see our bills increase substantially. I intend to provide public comment on the proposed base rate increase at the consumer session that will be held a week from tomorrow, Thursday, June 13th, 6 o'clock, in the Washoe County Board of County Commission chambers. If unable to attend in person, individuals can provide written comment to the PUCN referring to docket 24-02026 and mailed to the PUCN address, which can be found on their website, puc.nv.gov. Thank you for allowing me to comment.
Thank you, Ms. Palmer. Madam Mayor, we have no additional public comment at this time. For the record, we did receive 22 comments, which were general in nature, not directly associated with an agenda item prior to 4 p.m. yesterday, June 4th. These comments were voicemail and/or written correspondence received via our reno.gov online public comment form or by email to our office. Copies of these have been distributed to the Reno City Council and are available to the public on reno.gov. 2 letters in favor and 20 letters of concern. And again, those have been distributed. With that, we have no additional public comment. We're moving on to item A4, approval of the agenda. ACM Hodge.
All right, I'm going to send it to ACM. Mr. Hodge, do you have any updates or notices on this agenda?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have one notice to mention. I-1, we received a request from the applicant and the appellant to postpone I-1 to July 31st, 2024. So there will be no public hearing this evening.
Okay. Go ahead.
You said you received a request from who?
The applicant and the appellant.
Okay, so how, the...
Councilmember Breckus, can you move the microphone closer to you?
Sorry, I thought we didn't have that. So, under the development code, the applicant is provided one request, and does this request then count as their one request? Because we have never had a situation where both two parties have done that. So I'm just trying to understand how this would, in case we get to July 1 and July 31 and someone else asks.
I'll turn it over to John.
Yeah, for the record, John Shipman, City Attorney's Office. So this is an appeal.
Yes.
So it has been, the city has issued a decision upon it. So the withdrawal slash the reference that you were referring to doesn't apply to that anymore. What it does, there under 1808-306, I want to say B2 or B3, as long as the applicant and the appellant agree, then it doesn't have to come back for to open the hearing. And at this point, we have both agreed to that. So we've already ruled on the issue for the purposes of the tentative map.
Well, let's think about it from the perspective of those who make decisions. That's us 7, okay? So I put a lot of time in preparing for this.
Yeah.
So I want to have my decision, you know, I want to understand where we're at, because it's really our issue. And July 31 may be a tough day, maybe other hearings. So, you know, it's really telling the council, it's the council deciding if they want to do this, correct?
No, I would disagree with that because
Okay.
it says in our code, it gives that as the direction. So if it's in the code that it doesn't come back for hearing since they did agree to it. So
Wait, they agreed to what? What did they agree to?
they both wanted to postpone the hearing.
To July 31.
Yes,
So
correct.
the council has no say on this whatsoever.
Under the code speaks to that. So
What code section was
at
that?
1808-306.
1808-306.
And I want to say B3.
B3. So then the city is obligated on July 31 then to hear this and schedule it?
That's what they agreed to, correct? Yes.
That's what they agreed to?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And John, I just want to be sensitive to that we're not pushing people to go in with projects before they're ready and that they're fully vetted. And so I just want to be sensitive that the council is not sort of overstepping their rights.
Yeah, no, understood, Madam Mayor. Just to be clear, and I think there's a little confusion here, this is an appeal as opposed to a decision. Yeah, so that's kind of why it's a little different, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, moving on, Madam Clerk.
Madam Mayor, I'll move to approve the agenda as designed, with the exception of item I being removed.
All right, I have approval of
Second.
the agenda. I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you so much. Approval of the minutes. May I
Move
get
to
a
approve.
motion? I have a motion from Councilmember Reese. I have a second from Councilmember Martinez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right,
Madam
thank
Mayor,
you.
can we go back to the previous agenda item? I just, for purposes of, how we are able to do our work up here, I just like to see the written correspondence that's come through the office on this, because I didn't see it loaded up when I was doing my long review of this item yesterday, and I'd like to know, when those correspondence came in, and when were they made available to the council?
All right, well, we'll make sure, Madam Clerk, you get Councilwoman Breckus whatever she needs.
Well, they should be up in the
All right.
record, but I don't
Okay.
think they are.
All right, moving along, let's go to item B, consent agenda. I'm going to start with council members to ask if they have any items that they would like to pull off the agenda. I'm going to start with you, Councilwoman Ebert. Do you have anything?
Yes. B15.
Pardon?
B15.
Okay.
B21. B24. B25.
Nothing from me, Madam Mayor.
All right, nothing from Councilmember Reese. How about, and I don't mean to skip over you, but just sort of let Madam Clerk know when you want to speak. How about Councilwoman Dewar?
Yes, B21.
Oh, I hope you're getting better.
Yeah, working on it.
Oh, you don't sound so good, but thanks for not coming and resting. Appreciate it. Okay, Councilwoman Taylor.
B22, please.
Councilman Martinez.
Nothing from me, Madam.
Councilwoman Breckus.
I don't have any, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
To approve the
I have a
remaining
motion.
items.
Do I have a second?
Madam Mayor, we do have public comment on this before we take a motion.
Okay, sounds good.
Bill Schrimpf.
Hello.
Good
Again,
morning.
long time
Good
no
morning.
see.
I know. Good morning, Bill Schrempf. Just real quick. So, B22, just a quick question, and I hope somebody already knows the answer to this, but do we have to do that now while we're searching for a new city manager? Or I don't know, I see it's an NRS thing, so if we have to do it now, we have to do it now, but I hope somebody already knows the answer to that question. If we don't know the answer to that question, if we don't have to hire this person now, is it smart to defer until we have a new person in office? B16 has to do with stormwater. When are we getting that fourth item on all the stormwater stuff we did back in, 2023, the end of 2023? We needed one more item to stand up that utility. We're almost there. Let's get that across the finish line. And B10 through B15, I want to say thanks to this body for supporting, but mostly the folks who are here and upstairs. There is $6.2 million of investment in this city, and I think it's really a great thing. It's stuff that nobody ever sees or thinks about. It has to do with when you brush your teeth, take a shower, and flush your toilet, all that kind of very thankless, benign stuff. So thank you for getting that hard work done, doing the smart and right thing. I don't understand most of it, but I know my sink works when I brush my teeth. So for putting that investment into the city and making things good, thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Bill. Madam Clerk, I'll renew my motion for approval of the agenda as written, and there was a second. Mr. Martinez. Okay, I'll call for the question. All those in favor,
sorry,
please
what-
signify by saying aye.
What item? Oh,
We're approving the consent agenda except for the items not pulled.
oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know we changed our presiding officer, so that's
Just
why I was
briefly.
confused, yeah.
So I'll call for the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item B15, as pulled by Councilmember Ebert, I believe. Is B15 yours?
Don't we have a
Ms.
point
Ebert?
of order of deciding who's going to chair if it's not going to be the vice mayor?
I think she'll be back very quickly, but if you'd like to call for a motion, we can.
If she's back beyond, if she is gone much beyond this item, then I think we make rules we need to follow.
Understand. Thank you, Councilmember Breckus. And Ms. Ebert, was B15 something did you have a question for staff?
Yeah. Just if we can get like a little presentation about what this is.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Welcome and good morning.
Thank you. My name is Eric Miller, Associate Civil Engineer with Utility Services. I don't have a presentation on this item. I can speak on what it is. I have a couple maps if you'd like me to pull them up on the overhead, but this is a construction management agreement with Shaw Engineering to oversee and inspect the construction work at the Corey and Sky Vista lift station improvement project. The previous council meeting, council did approve the construction to Resource Development Company on that item. This item is appearing because we didn't have the agreement quite ready, so that's why it's appearing on this council item and didn't go with the actual construction.
Okay. And I did actually have a question too. And this is still not working, right?
Councilmember Eber, if you can
now
move the
on.
microphone closer to you, it's not capturing you.
Okay. Is it actually on?
It is on.
Okay.
The lights are just not functioning right now.
Okay, all right. So I noticed in the staff report, it said the Skylift Station is near the intersection of Lear Boulevard and Sage Point Court. Lift Station assessment report assigned a score of 1 to the Sky Vista Lift Station. I assume that's not good, or, I mean, what is the rating score?
Yeah, so the
On that.
rating, when we did the 2020 assessment, the rating was from 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Since that has done, partial improvements have already taken place to the Sky Vista, so it's probably closer up to a 3 at this point, and with these improvements, it'll take it up to probably that 5.
Okay. And then it also says a nearby development improvement project has already increased the lift station capacity. What was that development?
I believe that was the Stonegate development, and they, so it would be, I would say from that lift station, maybe to the east, slightly to the southeast of it. They did install their own lift station that then pumps over to Sky Vista. Part of that project, it was on the requirement that they had to install the third pump. We already had everything ready for that third pump to be put in, but the development paid for that third pump to be installed into there for when we need it. We're not quite there of needing it yet.
Okay, so it was a developer that did it. It wasn't the city of Reno, an actual developer put this lift station in?
No,
Or
this-
made the improvement?
For just the third pump that
Okay.
was installed.
Okay.
The developer paid for it to be put in with the city of Reno having oversight. We were out there when it was installed, making sure everything, we did the startup on the third pump, making sure it all works and is all good. And so that's already taken care of.
Okay, and that was after 1996, I presume?
That was maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. All right, I don't have any more
All right,
questions.
why don't you make a motion?
Well, I'll have a question about
Okay.
this. Yeah, there were a lot of sewer items on, and when Ms. Ebert brought up the priority level, that made me think of something, because I think one that I didn't pull was a priority 7, which is pretty deep into the order. And so the overall financial picture of spending this much money out of the sewer fund, when I think we're going to bond again on Stumworth, and we haven't stood up the utility, it's pretty solid. Our budget can handle, this many projects. And I know this is the collection system, but.
Good morning, Trina Magoon, Director of Utility Services, for the record. We, continually work with finance. We work with our budget on the sewer utility fund itself and ensure that all of our projects that we bring forward have sufficient funding to accomplish those.
Well, I'm looking 10 years out, the 10-year financial modeling plan, because, we have an aggressive rate escalation to CPI that we've been going on to for 10 years now, and there isn't a lot of room beyond that. We've maxed out what I think is tolerable for a utility of CPI. And so if we get out, especially as we bring on all the debt, is a future council going to be put in a rate escalation? So I've been asking to see this 10-year modeling, and is that available for maybe the next times that you bring in a bunch of, millions of dollars on this sewer fund?
Yes, we do have a 10-year outlook on it, and we can bring that to council.
Okay, that makes me feel more comfortable than to roll into millions of dollars on the consent. Thank you.
All right, Councilwoman Breckus, will you give me a motion?
Can I mention one more thing?
Yes, please.
So, Councilmember Ebert, I was corrected, and it was a Stone Field is the development.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Go ahead, Councilwoman Breckus.
Yeah, I'll move.
All right, thank you. I have a motion from Councilwoman Breckus.
I'll second.
I have a second from Councilwoman Ebert. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Okay, moving along. Madam Clerk?
Item B21, pulled by Councilmember Dewar and Ebert.
Okay, Councilwoman Dewar, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll bring it back to the dais.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to make a public note of appreciation to NV Energy for their contribution of this $25,000 to Relief Reno. We've had several members of the public also comment on this contribution and how important trees are. Now more than ever, trees cannot be underappreciated. I just did an interview this morning with KOLO. We are about to enter into 100-degree heat here in June, and it looks like it may be, between 95 and 100 for the next 3 or 4 days. And their focus was on how do the trees help us with the cooling, and we went over that pretty thoroughly. But I just wanted to tell you, it's not just us at council, it's not just our staff, it's not just our public that are visiting, but the larger public are very, very interested in our tree program. We've made a lot of motion forward in terms of planting trees, having special events, giving away trees, giving recognition for those who do their bit to help us save our trees. What I'm hoping is in the next few months, we can actually start tackling some slight improvements to our tree regulations. It may be possible to include those in the update to the code. They're not big changes, they're simply clarifications. And that's what the code update and code cleanup's all about, is making sure the words mean what we say. So whether it's there or it's something else, I really hope that we can get there in the next few months and actually put important changes to our regulations in the books. But mostly I want to thank NV Energy for recognizing how important trees are and continuing to participate with us in this program. So thanks.
All right, thank you so much. Go ahead, Councilwoman Ebert.
Yeah. I just wanted to, also say thanks to NV Energy for this donation, but also I know that this isn't earmarked for any particular area to plant these trees, but I just wanted to take this moment to just, again, remind everybody that Ward 4 only has 5 parks out of the entire city of Reno. We have limited capacity, limited space to plant things like trees, but I just want to make sure that we're considering all the parks, but also considering the various needs of the different wards. And just a reminder that Ward 4 has the lowest tree canopy of the entire city of Reno. And if there are ways that we can work with the PROS plan to increase the acreage we have for our parks in Ward 4 and use some of these funds to increase the tree canopy in the ward that has the lowest canopy, I would really, really greatly appreciate it. And thank you for the work that you do on this, and thank you for NV Energy as well. So thanks.
All right, Councilwoman Ebert, give me a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept.
All right, I have a motion.
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right, Madam Clerk, back to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We're moving on to item B22, pulled by Councilmember Taylor.
All right, Councilwoman Taylor.
Thank you very much. I don't necessarily need a presentation. I just had a question or a couple of comments.
Certainly.
So in the CMAR process, once we get to the interview, which this is to select the panel, the interview panel, all of the respondents to the proposal have been deemed qualified, I would imagine. So in the interview process, one of the things that I would like to see a greater emphasis on within allowable NRS is value engineering, because that is what I think CMAR brings to the table when you're looking at a contractor as a benefit to the owner. And when I was looking at some of the packet, I didn't know if I actually saw that as part of the criteria. So I'm sure you have cost, schedule, team, approach, but I'm really interested in looking at the value engineering on projects like this too, to make sure that we get the best product.
Certainly. And just for the record, my name is Matt Smith. I'm Senior Civil Engineer with Utility Services.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, within the solicitation, it does show where we're grading them. And of course, as you had said, we need to assess their proposals to make sure that they're qualified. But
And I think the last CMAR I saw there was, maybe 5 points for cost. And I'm not necessarily saying, in a CMAR process, we want to go with the lowest bid because the cost is sort of worked into the experience and the approach. But I would like to make sure that we're looking at the value engineering of the team too.
certainly.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to make a motion.
All right, thank you so much. Matt, nice to meet you. I don't recall you've been in front of us before.
I've been up here a few times.
You have?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just getting older. My hair is falling out, and I can't remember anything. Well, yeah, because you came up like, hey, I'm Matt. But anyway, thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, I
Motion
have
to
a
approve.
motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Good job, Matt. All right. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item B24, pulled by Councilmember Ebert.
All right, go ahead. Take it away, Councilwoman Ebert.
Oh, I don't think anyone's here. I just wanted to say that this organization is a great group. They did a backpack drive last year too, that they gave away backpacks to kids in the community. And this is another one they're going to be doing later this year, right before back to school. And I just wanted to kind of call this group out. They do a great job. It was a really wonderful community event that we had at the Evelyn Mount Park last year. So just wanted to say great job to this group and just highlight what they do for the kids in the community. So,
All right, give me a
yeah,
motion.
motion to approve.
I have a motion. I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving right along. Madam Clerk.
B25, pulled by Councilmember Ebert.
Councilwoman Ebert.
Again, doesn't look like there's anybody here, but I just wanted to thank the school for the work that they do in the community. So, thank you to Sierra Nevada Academy Charter School.
Okay. Make it a motion.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving right along, I believe, Madam Clerk, item C1, this is a public hearing. Let the record reflect that the council is opening the public hearing, and I would like to confirm the notice with you, Madam Clerk, was proper notice given and any correspondence received?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Proper notice was given on this item and no correspondence was received.
Okay, thank you so much. Do you have any public comment on this item?
We do not have any public oh, I'm sorry, C1?
Yes.
Are you C1?
Yes, I am.
Oh, we do not have any public comment on this item.
Commented via Zoom, so I figured.
Okay.
Here to that.
Okay. All right. Any disclosures from council members? Seeing that there are none, we're going to move right along. And I'm going to send it now to staff presentation.
Right.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, council members, Madam Mayor. Carter Williams, Associate Planner for the record. We'll wait for my presentation. All right. So this is for a request for a portion of an alley to be abandoned. The alleyway is located between LaRue Avenue and Martin Street, within 1 block of South Virginia Street to the west. So the area in yellow is the portion of the alley proposed to be abandoned at 707 square feet. So it is pretty small. Here are close-up views of the alley, or the specific area to be abandoned. Staff is requiring that there be a 20-foot minimum access through the alleyway. There are public utilities in this alleyway, including city sewer and storm drain utilities, but they won't be impacted, or then they're not located within this area. The property, upon abandonment, the property will get the zoning designation of mixed-use midtown commercial. From staff's perspective, the only finding for an abandonment is that the public will not be materially injured by the proposed abandonment. Since it doesn't conflict with city utilities, it maintains through access on the alley all the way through, and it's reducing liability and maintenance responsibility for these specific areas where we were able to meet these findings. Generally, there are also conditions related to coordination with waste management and other utility companies to ensure that there aren't any impacts on their services. And on the screen is the recommended motion. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Just really quickly, so is this correct, 700 square feet?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And Midtown Commercial, I assume, who's going to maintain it? Is it
The property owner will be
Is
the
it a
one to
business?
maintain this specific area.
Yeah. Is it a business?
Sorry?
Is it a business?
Yes, so this is behind the Best Bet Motor Lodge, so it would become a part of that property.
Oh, okay. So who is the owner of that property?
I don't know this.
Is it Best Bet?
It's Best Bet.
Okay,
It is
got
Best
it.
Bet, yes.
Okay, perfect. Fantastic. Okay, love it. Good job. All right, Councilman Breckus, go ahead.
Thank you. I do have a few questions. And number one is, I did a site visit this week, and I was not able to do a site visit. Could you put this up on the screen, please? Because I couldn't get into the alley. I walked around both sides of the alley and just was trying to figure out, there was some construction going on in the alley, and also they're pouring a pad there. This alley is unusual, and I will say, I use this alley, I live nearby, I represent this area. This alley it's a concrete alley, correct?
Yes.
So it's very well-traveled, because it's a nice, just like you're on a grid, it gives you connectivity, particularly pedestrians and bicyclists who don't have the facilities, are a little inadequate over on Virginia Street, and, it's safer to be on, in a lot of ways. You're not in that conflict zone on Virginia Street with cars. But, and then I also, I'm sorry, I didn't send my liaison the right photo to print up for me this morning. But could you put this one up too? I couldn't understand where, because I couldn't get in there. You see, I was walking, I couldn't get into the alley, and then I walked around the other side, and I couldn't get past there, and they were working and pouring concrete. But were they pouring concrete on the area that's going to get, they're requesting to abandon? Because I couldn't see, I know it jags on your map. Can you bring your map up now?
Yeah.
It's a little, I think it's okay, yeah. Is that where they were pouring the concrete there? Is that
So I might defer to the applicant on the
Okay,
specific
okay,
improvements.
okay.
But the city wouldn't
Yeah,
approve permits
yeah.
without a encroachment permit for
Yeah,
public
because
works.
we do have, I mean, it's not going to hinder the public's mobility through that very nice alley. If it's that area there, I was just unable to do an eyewitness view and trying to, figure out. So maybe they could answer what was going on over there.
Hello, City Council. Brooke Oswald, for the record. I'm with the EREC Group, and I appreciate your questions. No, they are not pouring in that area. They're not, they do not have a permit to do that. What they are is pouring on their property just to the north of that project site.
Okay.
I think one of the things I could do, and I understand that with construction and their availability to get in there, but I will mention that to the owner and the contractor to make sure that they're not limiting that, that access through that during the construction phase of this project.
Well, the problem is,
Sorry, Councilmember Reckes, are we in applicant presentation? Because I need to time that, and I just want to make sure we're doing the right things.
Are we?
It sounds like we're doing staff questions first.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't ask staff to come up. I'm not the presiding officer, so, maybe, you bring that up to others. Okay.
Are there any other council
Brooke, go-
questions?
Take it away, Brooke.
I'll run through, and I want
Yeah,
to
please finish.
thank Carter Williams for all his help on this project, and he did a great presentation to kind of set where this is. This is, once again, a very small abandonment. Just so we have a big kind of picture on this, this is our Midtown, that's South Virginia, one of those commercial areas we're seeing develop. This is the roundabout area, just so everyone has kind of a location. Our project site is here. This is the Best Bet. So the Best Bet had been abandoned for several years. It had started construction, had gone back down. It has been purchased. They have renovated that entire building now to updated all the motel rooms and are doing overnight rentals. They've also provided the additional parking and all the permits on that. What they are is asking for that abandonment on our closer project site. Once again, the Best Bet Motel and this small little triangle in the back. It's about 700 square feet. So as we look, that's sort of the front end of this property. What's some of the challenges of this? Historically, I could not find in the record, that alley was originally straight and somewhere it jogged in history, and I could not find that. But that jog created this weird little outlet. But that outlet, or that little triangular place caused some problems. As you can see to the right there, you have that door, and that's the access, that's part of their emergency access door. So if someone in the public, legally, they could park back behind that door and provide, and block that access back off the back. Additionally, what we're seeing is that access to waste management. Now, they would have to have that on their property. The logical place would be behind that smaller dotted line. If someone parks in front of that, they can no longer control the ability of waste management to get the waste management. So this allows them to put their screened waste management there for them to pull in and not have it hindered by any, the ability of someone to park there legally because it is public property. This is looking out that door, in that door, and this being one of the big reasons there of that safety issue. This is the official survey of that area, that establishment of the jog. We've maintained that 20 feet. That's so that we have that two-way access that's still allowed through there. You can see how there's a little bit of a curve in the bottom of that triangle. That's to accommodate that 20 feet. This was acquired through dedication. Through that dedication means that property owner or their interest originally gave that property to the city. And so when they have the right through state law to ask for that back, there is no fee associated with that. Our mixed master plan is that urban mixed use and that mid-down commercial. As I kind of mentioned, we're seeing that revitalization and reuse of that building. And they've done, if you get a chance, please go down there. I know your redevelopment manager recently had an article on LinkedIn on it, highlighting some of the benefits of that. It promotes many things, that resilient economy, that revitalization, vibrant neighborhood centers, and safe, healthy, and inclusive communities. So with that, I'll available for any questions and hope that I answered any questions.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
Excellent presentation.
It's great to
and
see you
very
all.
familiar with this project, and it's absolutely outstanding. I don't know if anyone here has not been by there. Definitely go check it out. I think it's an absolute gem in Midtown, and maybe truly like our first boutique hotel property. And Piper and Chris just do a phenomenal job. Amazing. Good. Love it. All right. Councilwoman Breckus, any more questions?
Yeah, I think I can be comfortable. I think it was just my bad timing. I could have gone by Sunday night. I could have gone by Monday night. It was just my bad timing. And I am certainly not one to walk through a construction site, but people also need to, when they're working in the alley and blocking an alley, they sure ought to have a permit from the city. I don't know. That's
Okay.
operations. But, Madam Mayor, if I may, I also want to, something the applicant's rep said is, can't avoid parking in the alley. No, we have rules about parking in the alley. It's maybe not a priority that, to others as it is to those who live among alleys is, parking enforcement along there. But I do see the logistical problems, and I think it is surplus alley right-of-way, so I can support it.
Okay, thank you. Can you please give me a motion?
Well, if no one, yeah.
All right, thank you so much. I have a motion.
Let me see, I want to read. I'd like to read, could you bring it up so I can see how the motion is? Because we don't do abandonments every day, so I want to make sure I've got the right language. Yeah. It's worded a certain way. How is it worded?
I move to approve the proposed
Oh, do you? I move to approve the proposed abandonment.
All right, thank you so much. I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. All right, I would like to move to item D2, Madam Clerk.
Good morning. My name is Mavis Affle, and first of all, let me start with the Madam Mayor, the council
Hello,
members,
nice
and
to see you.
and Assistant City Manager.
It's been a long time.
Yes, my name is Mavis Affle from Human Resources. I'm here today to present an executive recruiter that our office has selected to handle the city manager recruitment. On May 8th, the City Council gave our department authorization to identify and select an executive recruiter to handle the city manager recruitment. With that, we went and initiated a process, interviewed the top 3 firms, and selected Bob Murray and Associates. With me today, I have Gary Phillips from Bob Murray and Associates to discuss a little bit about his firm's expertise in handling governmental recruitment, and also his expertise in handling recruitment. He's also going to discuss what a typical process looks like and take direction from you on what you would like to see in terms of strategy and the quality of the candidate that you would like to see. Gary will be prepared to go back with the information that you provide, draft a brochure that he can then bring back in July and get your feedback on that before we resume or start the search process. So if you have any questions for me, I can answer. If not, then I am happy to introduce Gary Phillips from Bob Murray and Associates.
All
Gary,
right. Thank you so much. Come on
Thank
up.
you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. Pleasure to meet you all. My name is Gary Phillips with Bob Murray and Associates, and I wanted to just take a few minutes, if I could, to just share with you a little bit about our firm, for those of you that aren't familiar with it. Bob Murray and Associates has been doing public sector recruitments for about 24 years, a little over 24 years. I don't know if we've got my presentation. Maybe we can get the first slide up. If that's possible.
And Madam Mayor, while IT's pulling that up, for the record, I would just like to state that we did receive one letter of concern associated with item D2.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, so I'm in control here.
But for the record, no public comment, correct?
No public comment. Mavis and Cody, I don't show a presentation specifically for,
It's on the other one that you just had up there.
Yes, that's the one.
Okay, there we go, thank you. So just a little bit about us. Bob Murray Associates specializes in public sector recruitments. We've been in business for about 24 years. We've placed over 1,800 public sector executives and professionals, over 250 city managers. So a lot of experience in the field, and experience handling very sensitive, high-profile positions. One of the things that we found is kind of unique about doing this kind of work is that each recruitment is unique and special. And it always comes down to learning about the client that we're working for, doing our listening sessions, gathering in the information that we need so that we can develop a process that meets the needs of our clients. As you can see, it's a Latina-owned firm. My wife and I, Valerie Gaeta Phillips, acquired Bob Murray Associates about 10 years ago. When we took over the firm, so our 4 pillars to focus on when we took over the firm from Bob Murray, is we wanted to focus on connecting with the next generation of municipal leaders, because as the retirement wave was happening, we wanted to connect with the next generation of leaders. We also wanted to focus on diversity and making sure that we're bringing the most diverse candidate pools possible to our clients so that they can make a selection based on having a diverse candidate pool. One of the other things that we thought was really important beyond that, bringing that strongest candidate pool possible, was making sure that we understood the needs of our clients. And that's a real important piece of what we do. A little bit about me. So my wife and I have owned the firm for over 10 years now, and in those 10 years, I've specialized on doing positions that report to elected bodies, because the process for a recruitment that reports to an elected body is a little bit unique. Understanding open meeting laws and how to work with an elected body to help them work through a decision-making process is a little bit different. And I've successfully completed over 70 city manager recruitments myself over the last 10 years. So I just wanted to share that because I know there was some concerns when I watched your May 8th meeting about making sure that it was somebody that understood how to do public sector recruitments, because it's a little bit unique. I also wanted to share with you, this is kind of a generic recruitment process for this type of position. It's about a 16-week process or 4-month process from start to finish. What the process actually looks like can be tweaked, but I wanted to at least have you folks have that in your minds, that you're looking at from the time we kick off this search, kick off the search to when we actually are negotiating an agreement and appointing somebody. It's about 4 months. So keep that in mind based on when we actually start. First month is usually meeting with stakeholders, developing the marketing materials, and getting the ads placed. Once it's out there on the market, that's when our firm is going to, that's where we earn our money, where we're going to be out there using our social media, using all of our connections. One of the things that this firm takes pride in is we have a very strong social media presence. We've got about 45,000 followers on social media. We've got about 50,000 candidates in our own internal database. And we've got about 7,000 professionals that sign up for our newsletter that want to find out every time we have a new recruitment that hits our website. So using social media, and then of course targeted outreach. Once I understand what a candidate's looking for, or what our client's looking for, then I have a better sense of what candidates I should be reaching out to. And that targeted outreach includes me reaching out to individuals that I know. Having been doing this for 10 years, I've got hundreds of city managers in my cell phone. We're going to reach out to those folks once I have a better sense of what's going to be a good fit here. So that's all happening in that second month. The third month is really dedicated to screening down those resumes that we receive, me doing preliminary interviews on candidates that kind of meet the criteria that we've developed, and then presenting those candidates to my client for review and my recommendations. We'll also make sure that we do some level of public record search to make sure if there is any negative press out there on candidates, that that's been reviewed prior to me presenting candidates. That fourth month is when we get into the interview phase. And that's usually a two-phase process where we'll have a preliminary round of interviews, then we'll narrow the field to 2 or 3 finalists, then we'll do backgrounds and references, more thorough, in-depth background and references on the finalists, and then bring those finalists back for a final round of interviews before we go into negotiations and appointment. So that's just kind of a rough idea of what a typical city manager recruitment might look like. So I wanted to just open it up now to discussion. I think the couple things that I had heard that you folks wanted to discuss a little bit about the recruitment process, about the timing, and perhaps next steps. And then I think staff has a recommendation for us at the end here. So I'd open it up to any questions that you folks might have.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the fact that you have a background on the municipal side and seeing sort of, to your point, that this is a little bit different than recruiting firms. And it really, my experience has been not just like with city manager stuff, but other boards that I serve on for CEOs. It's been really, really painful to see when they don't have that type of background, because it's really different, in which, you know, it's got to be public, it's got to be open. When someone applies, it's very, very transparent and can often affect their ability with their current employer. So there's a lot of dynamic. They need to understand open meeting law, so I'm really glad to hear this. Where are you from? Where's your firm from?
Roseville, California.
Oh, okay, good. So you just drove here.
Couple hours.
And you know Reno well, it sounds like. Okay.
Very much.
All right, thank you so much. I'm going to start with Councilman Breckus. Go ahead.
Thank you. And, you know, it's glad to have you aboard. The mayor and I started, it'll be 12 years in November. To the timing, I may or may not, you know, be through the process entirely the same way, which is fine with me. I've done it twice before for a city manager. We've had a lot of turnover. And I think, I can't remember if your firm was involved in the last one or the one before. Do you remember?
We weren't involved in the last one for sure.
Then it was the one before, I think.
Then that might have been before we got involved, if it was 12 years ago.
I don't think so. We had Greg Nelson was the recruiter. Do you remember?
Yeah, he's not with our firm.
Yeah, but he was with, I think, anyway, we have worked with you before.
Okay.
And I think we've worked with you with chiefs, you know, recently. In just my perspective, and I'm going to say it very publicly, okay, because I know, you know, your candidates may very well be watching this, is one, everyone will know that in Nevada we do it differently than California.
Right.
Very public. Bad thing, good thing, you know, let political science, you know, scientists or MPA people study that. Two, in Nevada we have a good opportunity because we can steal retirees from California.
Right.
We've done that with chiefs, and we know that. Unfortunately, to my history, we've hired 2 city managers who, and I work very closely with, you know, the representative that, you know, you'll assign to this job, don't meet the profile. We put out, we want an experienced city manager, which I think, you know, we've grown, we've got a lot of dynamics. I think we're now the 80th largest incorporation. And then we go with inexperienced people. We've done that twice now. And the person, even the third person before, who I think was a rescue person, didn't have city managers. So we're going on 3 city managers who don't have any sitting in the hot seat experience. And I want to kind of ward that off, is if we're putting out the profile, we want some experience, but we don't, then let's be very clear and honest with people. Because we had 2 really good candidates. They weren't putting themselves at risk. I think at the time they were both in temporary situations, but they both wanted to come here very much. And during that process, the 2 candidates, who were both Nevadans, started having letters written to the council. One was a Southern Nevada person, and I started getting all these letters from influential people. She's great, she's great. The other person, it came out during the interview that we did on Zoom during COVID, had been talking directly to members of the council, not myself, and he admitted it there. So this lobbying, before you get the brochure out by an internal person, I think is problematic. I don't think it meets the ICMA guidelines, which, we live to. And I'm also nervous that the council is going to do one thing, and I'm seeing warning signs on
Okay,
that
thank
already.
you.
On my second round, I'll bring that
All
up
right,
again.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Councilwoman Ebert. No? Okay, Councilwoman Dewar.
I don't think, I think that presentation was well done, and I don't think I have any additional comments at this time other than, we're always seeking the best person, and it's very important to get a good Nevada fit. The people I see that don't work out, and I'm not referring to our city council, our city managers, I'm referring to other recruitments in our community. The people that don't seem to work out have a hard time adjusting to Nevada. They either don't move here, they don't move to Reno, or they don't move to Washoe County. And I think that's very important that whoever we hold or whoever we decide to consider understands an expectation that they would move to our community and live in our community. And both of our previous city managers did this, and I just want to put that out there that I still think it's very important. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much. All right, Councilwoman Taylor.
Thank you so much for being here. I just have some high-level comments. I think our existing city manager has done a fantastic job of defining the culture here at the city of Reno and has made great positive changes in that space. So that is something that I want to see continue. The other thing is that they are ingrained in the community. And just some of the criteria that I'm looking for is collaborative nature and lots of experience. I think the next step is revitalization and economic development is where I'm seeing that we can grow. And that's what I have for right now. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Councilman Martinez.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Thank you for the presentation. This is the first time that I'll be participating in the city manager search, and so excuse me if some of my questions seem basic, but I just kind of want to get a better understanding of your recruitment process. I know you gave us sort of a standard, not exactly what will be implemented once we go through it, but just how much wiggle room and breathing room do you allow normally within the recruitment process? Are you on a very strict timeline here, or how much room do you have?
No, the timeline is driven by my client, right? And so there's always factors that might cause the timeline to either expand a little bit or contract. And so that was just an example. And I know there can be timing issues around, sometimes there could be a timing issue around you have to have somebody in place by a certain amount of time based on municipal code or something like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's timing around an election, and do we want to get this done before the election, or do we want to stretch it out until after the election? We're in an election year, so there are some things that might affect the timing, but that's going to be driven by the desire of the council and working with the city attorney and staff more than me.
And have you ever had a search fail, and what do you do in that case? I'm not assuming it'll happen here, but just wanted to cover our bases.
It happens occasionally, and there's different ways that they're not successful. What happens when it doesn't work out for various reasons? Then we'll actually redo the search. We provide a guarantee that we'll redo the search at no additional cost to our client, except for hard expenses like advertising. We're going to stick with our client to make sure that it's a successful recruitment.
That's good to know. Thank you. Are there ways outside of community members maybe providing public comment during our meetings? Are there ways for folks to get involved in the process with you directly?
Community involvement?
Yeah.
External? Yeah, so there's a couple different ways that we can engage the community. So I talk about the recruitment in two different phases, kind of the front end. So that's before we do any interviews, and then the back end is when we're doing the interview process. On the front end, there's a lot of different ways to get input from the community. And I always kind of leave that to council's discretion and desire. I can throw out examples of what I've done with other clients that want community engagement. We can do everything from listening sessions. We used to do town halls, kind of post-COVID. It's turned into more virtual stuff. If you feel like the community wants to give some input, we can do electronic surveys, or we can actually do listening sessions if there's a desire to do that. That's a good way to get input from the community up front about what they feel we should be looking for in the next city manager.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I assume this was the description that is online for this position. I assume this was not done by your firm?
We haven't done anything yet.
Okay. All right. I was just going through here because one of the conversations I would love to have with our council, because I think now more than ever, it's been probably one of our top priorities, and I know the previous council had it. I'm sure Councilwoman Breckus, you would probably remember back in the day, but is on the redevelopment agency side, and the city manager now sort of doubles as that position. And I think because now the redevelopment agency is generating some revenue, it would be something that this council, I feel strongly, should look at. So it would be separate from the duties of the city manager, because I don't necessarily think you can be everything to everyone. And so that's something that I really think that this council should have a conversation on moving forward. Because I think city managers come in all different shapes and sizes and talents. And one of the things too that I've noticed, because I've done a lot of these, I know Councilwoman Breckus has probably done a lot of these at other boards as well. Gosh, I've done several at other boards. It's interesting what I've noticed too. This is just my thought. This might not be anyone else's, but what I've seen is someone from outside of the area tends to typically see a carrot that's waved in front of their face, and they chase the carrot, versus someone that is local, that is invested already in the community, knows the community, has those relationships in the community. And so the last CEO position we recruited for, not at this body, but another one, it was pretty instrumental that I felt that we had someone that was local, because each person was from outside of the area. And I actually didn't really even move here. They were sort of like 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So just for me, to encourage, local candidates, I think we have great talent here. Sometimes you can find them, sometimes you can't. And then I do think it's important for conversations. I know Councilwoman Breckus made some of those remarks, and I don't think it's necessarily right or wrong, in sort of the direction that we move, because, humans they're humans. They might do things that, one of us might not approve of, and we've seen some of those things during the recruitment process. So, to lay out the ground rules too, so then they don't get called out later, I think can help dramatically know going in, like, this is the process. Because sometimes I don't think it's been very clear, and they would reach out to you and say, hey, just like any candidate would, hey, I'm applying for this position, love to, have coffee, sit down, whatever that looks like. But I would just say, moving forward, that the process is really defined what the game rules are.
Right.
Because I've even seen that happen over at other boards during the recruitment process, that half the board is, they're like, oh, so-and-so did this or so-and-so did that. So it would just be good, before we do that.
I have conversations with candidates about that all the time, particularly folks that don't have experience working with elected bodies.
Yeah.
I don't think they understand the implications of doing that reach out. It's very different for electeds. And so I think getting them to understand that, most of the candidates that have public sector experience will understand that, but a private sector person might not
I just see
realize that.
sometimes, to Councilwoman Breckus's point, it's not defined.
Right.
And especially if they haven't worked in government, it can be a little painful.
Right.
So we might be a little more critical than most. But thank you so much, I appreciate it. Councilwoman Breckus, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of continue is what I saw and what I'm concerned about, and I'm seeing scenes already, is we're going to narrate, we want to be a big city and, kind of do it the way big cities do it, reach out broadly and so on. But the subcontext, which went on before, and I think is going to go on again, is we want to hometown this. And, that's fine. And a reason I bring this up is next meeting, I saw we have a meeting next week, and it's just, I don't even know how it happened, is we're going to appoint, there's a proposal to appoint one of our ACMs acting city manager. The council hasn't even had a discussion about how, any option. It's just agendized, appoint this person. So is that person, in a trial run? Because the council, you would think, would say, you do temporary appointments, correct?
Sure.
And I was hoping we could have that dialogue. So if you have a group that just wants to hometown it and say, maybe even they have someone in mind, do you ever get into that situation? Because I don't want you to burn these city managers.
I can speak to that, Councilman Breckus, if you don't mind. In the broader context, I think it's really important that that we get the message out to the candidate pool that this is an open recruitment, and you folks clearly want to get the best candidate possible, right? And somehow, sometimes that message can get blurred if the word on the street becomes, oh, they want somebody local, or the word on the street is, well, they've appointed an ACM as the acting or interim, and they've got the inside track. So my job as a recruiter is to do the best I can to let them know that, hey, we're not cheap. They wouldn't have hired us if they didn't want to do a recruitment and really see what's the best thing out there. But there's things that the council can do to help with that, and that's just be careful about the things that you say during the recruitment process. I'll give you an example. I've had mayors comment on what a great job an assistant city manager was doing in the interim role and how fantastic they were. Seems pretty innocuous, right? But it was a public statement, and so all the candidates are saying, we don't even have a shot, right? So I would say refrain from making those kind of comments, and let's refrain from suggesting that we're going inside or we're going local or anything like that, right? Because those are the things that can affect the candidate pool.
Yeah, but what if we are? What if that's in our mindset? Can we just get that out now?
Well, my experience is, I would say almost 100% of the time, my clients don't know the right person until it's sitting in front of them, right? So I've had clients tell me they want one thing, and that the description of the unicorn, if you will, and I bring somebody that checks all those boxes, and that person sits in front of them, and it just doesn't feel right. There's something else that happens, right? So I think even if there's some folks here that want somebody local, I may be able to bring a really strong candidate that's not local, that checks all the boxes and wows everybody, and they go that direction, right? So I think what we all have to do is go in with an open mind. And my job is to bring you a really strong candidate pool and make your selection process really difficult.
Yeah,
that's my job.
Love that. Make it difficult. Love it. All right, any other questions?
Madam Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead, Councilwoman Dewar.
Yeah, and I wanted to first clarify my comments that when I'm not necessarily looking for, as Councilmember Breckus said, hometowning it. I just said whoever's selected,
Yeah.
I think they should have an expectation of moving here. And in fact, I used the word moving here from somewhere else so that they become part of our community.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important because I've seen it not in city, but in a variety of other recruitments where they never make that transition. So that should be an expectation.
Yeah.
Number two is that what I would like to see, I think Doug has done a tremendous job on improving the culture of our organization and really focusing internally. And at the same time, over the last, let's call it 1 or 2 years, I think that we need similar effort focused on external, our public, our residents, our citizens, so that they feel they are part of the city too, and that their voices are heard. And I'll give you an example. Recently, I attended the Sun Valley CAB, the Community Advisory Board. And to my surprise, County Manager Eric Brown was there. And I've never seen any manager at the City of Reno, attend a NAB meeting. And it's really struck me. And he said, I talked to him, he said, I really like to get out and hear for myself what the people are saying. And often at the City of Reno, the people that are bringing those comments back are the council members. We're out in the community. We are hearing what we're hearing. And we are trying to impress upon people that work at the city what we're hearing. And I think it would be good that whoever's hired is attuned or has an interest in being attuned to what the public's saying, going to a variety of different kind of meetings, whether it's a CAB or a regional meeting of some kind, and hearing for themselves what our community's saying and being open to where our community wants us to go. Because at the end of the day, they elect us to be their representative, but they didn't give up all power. They want to be part of the decision making as well. And they want us to hear what they have to say and not necessarily in a 3-minute comment. So it's just another kind of option or opportunity to think about in terms of the kind of person that we're recruiting. Do they have an interest in that? Would they be comfortable in that? And how do they feel about that? So I just wanted to register that as something I'm interested in.
Okay.
So thanks.
Great comments, Councilwoman Dorr. Couldn't agree more. Great job.
Mayor,
All
can I
right,
just
go ahead.
make one
Councilwoman
last
Breckus.
comment? Yeah, I was very communicative and in contact with both recruiters both times, multiple phone calls, probably 4 or 5 at different phases of the stage, different stages, of the recruitment. And, my mind was not made up. In fact, the lobbying efforts by those 2 candidates who were local actually had put a bad taste in my mouth. But I would encourage my colleagues who may not be aware of this, when you assign your recruiter, that, they have an understanding, they can call and talk to them about, any information they need to know, and then when the applications hit, follow up and have private conversations with the recruiter. I think that was always appropriate and always very helpful to me to kind of bounce questions I had on the process on the recruiter. They're working for us, and we have that direct line to them. And I would encourage my colleagues, if you're not, have someone that you want, you already know, this is done deal, don't be afraid to have the direct contact with the recruiter, because they are there to help you get to where you need to be with the most information when it's time for that vote.
Yeah, good comments. Okay. Councilman Martinez.
Thanks so much, Madam Mayor. Just another quick clarifying question on your public records search. Does that include any social media investigations?
Oh, yes,
or is
it
that
does.
I'm just making sure, that it is included.
So the first level that we do, we use an outside firm called LexisNexis, which is basically Google on steroids. So it's going to look for any kind of public records out there. Doesn't necessarily do social media, but it'll look for any negative articles that might be out there. Sometimes lawsuits will show up in that kind of search. Once we get it down to the finalists, then we do a more in-depth background and reference checks, which includes a social media search as well.
Yeah, and before my time's up, I just wanted to echo some of the comments that were already made in terms of the culture changes that have happened over the last years. I know when I came on and just talking to staff, that's definitely one thing that has been highlighted in our current city manager, and making sure that whoever does come in is respectful and honors that and continues those efforts. And definitely somebody who's able to push the messaging forward and is interested in increasing the community engagement and tackling some of those transparency and loss of faith in our government systems that we have been experiencing. And so somebody who's just conscious of those and is willing to work with us to dismantle some of those beliefs.
Yeah. All right, well, right now, probably some possible candidates, if they were watching, are all deleting their Facebook pages about now.
Or at least making the public and private
Yeah.
clear, right?
All right, thank you. We've exhausted all of our rounds. I'm going to hand it, Councilwoman Taylor, since you're closest to the right of me, give me a motion.
Move to direct staff to work with Bob Murray and Associates to develop a draft of a recruitment strategy and recruitment brochure based on the feedback provided by council today.
All right,
Second.
I have a motion from Councilwoman Taylor. May I get a second from Councilman Martinez? Any discussion? Seeing that there's none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you so much, Mavis. Great job. Really appreciate you. And, sir, thank you. We look forward to working with you.
Likewise.
And, unfortunately, this is politics. I'm going to say this. This is not very popular. And for those, especially up here on the dais with me, going through several of them, every recruitment is challenging. They're not easy. And I think because we are in politics, someone is going to accuse you, just everyone beware, this is a juice job, this is an inside deal, those kinds of things. And those are sometimes the narrative that we can't control. But it's absolutely about transparency and being forthright, and I appreciate it. And I know that that's your goal too.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all.
All right, I have to go to a break. I want everyone to go to lunch and stretch their legs. We'll be back in an hour and 20 minutes.
Wait a second, Madam Mayor. We only have a few items.
I know, but I have to go, so
Okay.
we'll be back. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Mayor, do you want to reconvene? Okay. Madam Mayor, if you would like to and we have we have Vice Mayor on Zoom, so if you'd like, we'll reconvene the meeting at 1:32, and at this time, Councilmember Breckus and Ebert are absent, with Vice Mayor Dewar on Zoom. We are on item D1, David 1.
Comment on this item.
Madam Mayor, we do not have any public comment on this item. However, I would like to state for the record that we did receive correspondence on D1 1 letter of support and 3 letters of concern. Those have been submitted to the Reno City Council and are part of the record.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate that. With that being said, I'm going to hand it to Amy. Hello. Hi, take it away. Good afternoon. Thanks for hanging out with us.
I am excited today to get to come and talk more about the Truckee River, and we have, I do have a presentation, which
Yeah, go ahead.
I think will pop up there in just a moment. Okay, great. So today I'm here to talk about the Truckee River once again, and we are doing the last installment of ARPA funding for the river. And just as we've been hearing in public comment and around the community, I'm personally very excited about the investment we're making in this gem for our city, and just the excitement of people coming out and the interest we're getting about the improvements in this plan is just been really great. Is this working? There we go. Okay, so just a quick recap. This is part of the $3 million of ARPA funding that's been allocated to the Truckee River. We did hire a consultant, DIG, in October to help us come up with a vision plan, and we did partner with Washoe County on that. And as part of that plan, we asked them to come forward with some recommendations for our ARPA funding so we could get the ball moving even before we finish the full plan, which is still in the final public outreach stage. This ARPA funding is in alignment with our strategic plan as the city with fiscal sustainability, economic and community development, infrastructure, climate change, and environmental sustainability, as well as arts, parks, and historic resources, and is also in line with our downtown action plan. And just as a quick reminder, what we're asking for today is approval of ARPA funding. This is not for the acceptance of the overall river vision plan, but we hope to continue on that project with our last round of public outreach and bring that to you in a future meeting soon. So I know we've gone over this a lot, but a quick reminder of ARPA. The reason that we are pushing these projects forward as efficiently and quickly as possible is because these dollars do have to be allocated to contracts by the end of December of this year, 2024, and the projects have to be completed by the end of 2026. So of the $3 million to date, we put just over $300,000 to the vision plan with DIG. In the council meeting a month ago, the council approved the animal waste receptacles, paint, wayfinding, and West Street Plaza improvements in parts 1 and 2. And then today I'm presenting this larger chunk of $2.1 million for the remainder of the ARPA funds. So what we have heard from the public with the extensive public research or public engagement that we did through the DIG process was that what people are wanting to see, the amenities that they consider essential for a thriving waterfront, are parks and open spaces, nature education and observation, and access to water. Lots of things that have to do with a healthy, vibrant river. And then the things that keep people from using the river are the cleanliness and aesthetics, the safety concerns, and the lack of trail connectivity. You want me to go faster? Skip it. Oh. All right, so just to kind of keep us the thing that we want to just make sure that we're keeping front of mind as we have this ARPA funding goals is that we're trying to create a clean and safe riverfront and create a connected riverfront with easy access to the river and implement a cohesive plan for consistency in design and long-term maintenance. And these are goals specific to the ARPA funding, and that's kind of how we've been targeting these projects. The overall vision plan does stretch the corridor from the California state line to Sparks, but the ARPA funding is really focused in on this downtown and slightly beyond downtown area that's outlined by the yellow square on the screen. So part 3, today what we're going to be talking about is some projects that are exciting to be bringing forward to you today. Riverside Drive Park design and lighting, which I will expand on. The paint refresh on the river elements, you already approved $40,000 for that, but there was a lot more that we determined that needed a refresh, including the pergolas and all those sorts of things, so we upped that amount. And a cantilever path design that's needed for safety, which I will show you a picture in a minute. So first, this is the larger project of this funding, and I want to explain a few things that are here on the screen so that everyone understands what we're talking about in this project. So the Riverside Drive portion of this, it's really focused between Arlington and Booth Street, which I have a photo there to kind of just remind everyone where we're talking about on the river. This is a very beloved portion of the river. People love the mature trees in this area, as well as the walkability and being in nature. What is going to be happening soon is the Truckee Meadows Flood Management Authority is requiring a flood wall in this area. It doesn't necessarily need to be tall, it'd be maybe 2 feet, but that's going to be happening. So we wanted to make sure that we were involved in making sure that that design is in line with what the community wants to see. So we are proposing some funding for design. In this picture, you actually can see it looks like a little wall with a bench, as a guy sitting. So this is an example of how a flood wall can be designed to incorporate park amenities and make it so that it is aesthetic and conducive to public use, not just like utilitarian. One thing that I want to clarify about this image, because it can be a little confusing, is there's a bike cycle track that's not part of the current funding available, but I also want to just note that that's in the current right-of-way of the street. We are not proposing in this design taking away any of the park or the grass area along the side for a bike path. That would be in the right-of-way that it currently exists within the curb of the street. The lighting that would go with this is basically along this stretch, it's been noted that the path is not lit well, but we also want to make sure that we take into account dark skies. So we're proposing downward-facing lighting on this portion that is very much focused on the path, making it safe for people walking, but minimizing the distribution of light out of that area for nature and residents. With this, I actually wanted to get some feedback from council today as we're pursuing what the design of lighting in this area would look like. Just to clue everyone in here, so the downtown core is the part in yellow here along the river. That area is, we're intending to keep the globe lights, but making sure that they're all refreshed so that they are distributing light on the path and it's safe to walk. And then the part that is in blue is the part that I'm talking about here with downward facing lights on the path outside of downtown, like between Arlington and Booth Street into Idlewild Park. With this dark skies in mind, like I just said, downward facing light is very important. There are different styles that are possible. One is this more modern style that you can see on the screen. Midtown has lights like this. The other is more of like a bell kind of facing downward shape. It doesn't have to be this exact one, but just kind of more of a traditional style. And so at the end of this presentation, I will be seeing if the council has any feedback. One color option is to go with black, which is what we're planning on painting all of the other light poles and railings and bridges along the river. So for consistency, we could go with black with these poles, or if there's a preference for using green or brown, other colors, that's also an option. So the next project that we're looking for approval today is the paint. So just all the rails, pergola, trash can covers, anything that's that mauve purpley color, proposing painting black and having everything match. And then last but not least is this cantilever path design. So this is for the area that is behind Museum Drive between Lake Street and Museum Drive and right behind the Automobile Museum. Basically the path is has a limitation based on the bank of how large it can be, and it is unsafe. So this design would allow for the path to actually extend beyond the bank of the path, beyond the edge of the bank, that's what I'm trying to say. So it can be wider and be safe. And this funding is just for the design and permitting phase, which when you're doing a project like this along the river, it's extensive permitting. This would allow us to get through that process as quickly as possible and then go out to bids go out for grant funding to get this built. And those are the projects for today. So happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, I'm going to start with you, Councilman Martinez. Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you so much. Councilwoman Taylor, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. I have a question on the lighting design, purchase, and installation in the staff report. That's the
Yes.
$1.3 million, right?
Yeah, so in the presentation, I actually combined the design and purchase of the lighting. It's the same project, essentially.
Do we have a designer on board already, or do we have to go out and get a designer?
So Dig Studios has been doing the preliminary conceptual design through the Dig project, and we would have the option to continue with them or go out for someone else if we felt that was necessary.
Okay, so I guess what portion of the 1.3 is a design contract?
Just over 200.
Just over two, and then the rest
Or,
is going to
about
go.
250,000.
Is going to go to lighting?
Yes, purchasing the lighting fixtures and installing them.
Okay, and then on the cantilever path, the 280, you said that's for design?
Yes.
Do we have enough to actually build it?
No. So the idea would be that with the design, which it would be a cantilever path, which has different reasons why, based on the location, the safety need, it would be highly competitive for grant applications. And so we would use that design to go out for grant funding to build it.
Okay, but the 280 is enough to get the design?
It's to get the design and the permitting.
And the permitting, okay. And then I'm just curious, the 250 for the design on Riverside Drive, what is that actual?
Okay,
what
so
is
that
the design
is-
of what?
Yeah, so the Truckee Meadows Flood Management Authority, we're in discussions with them to finalize their funding of the design of the actual flood wall. And then this would be the design of, basically us being able to be in that conversation to help design that flood wall is meeting the needs that the city has. So protecting the mature trees, making sure that maybe it has to curve around a certain area. It has benches incorporated into it. It has different things that we know the public wants that the Flood Management Authority might not have in their scope of priorities. And so, and lighting, the lighting design as well is in that.
Okay, so when do we start seeing some of this stuff come into fruition? Like the lighting and the flood wall and the design and for the, when do we get some of the stuff?
Yeah, hopefully very soon. I mean, once these design contracts are passed, we'll be able to work together to actually design the flood wall so we can build it. The money for the lighting purchase and installation has to be in contracts by the end of this year. So things are moving hopefully
Okay,
quickly.
so we'll at least see lighting by the end of this year, hopefully.
It definitely has to be in contract by the end of this year.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right, Councilwoman Ebert.
Oh, my light's on now. So for the grant funding, do we have grants in mind for the completion of this cantilevered section of this path? Like, do we know where we're going to go for this, or?
Not like, I don't have a specific one that we're planning on applying to, but we've been discussing what options are out there.
Okay, so we're confident that there's something that we can apply for to complete this?
As confident as I can be without it already being awarded, yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go to you, Councilwoman Dewar. Hold on, let me just kind of give just some of my thoughts, and then I'll go to you, Councilwoman Dewar. A couple of things. I'm very sensitive to this initiative. As you guys know, since day one, I have just been floored that there has not been any funding, sustainable funding for the Truckee River. It's our biggest and best asset, and it has been painful to try to get support services from other entities and just to get people on board is just, it's been really, really challenging and difficult. So I appreciate all the work that you're doing because I feel like we're on our little island over here. But I am very critical of sort of what we are doing. And one of the things is, has the council had the opportunity to meet with DIG?
Yeah, all the council members have had the invitation to, not all of them have.
Because I haven't seen one, and I would love to before we move on any further.
And we have reached out to your office a few times, but I will
right,
make sure
Amy, but-
I'll email you directly.
Would you please?
Yes.
You know how to reach me.
Yes,
So.
I'll email you directly.
Yes, especially because I have a hard time wanting to approve anything because I think we have an opportunity to get it right. And here's my fear. Seems like we're focusing on an area that already has had quite a bit of improvements. And the reason why that area is super popular, and there's a lot of people there because of those improvements. And we've focused on that area, and it looks amazing, and it's great. And but there's a huge other part of the river that doesn't have any focus. So why did we choose over there, knowing that, listen, we don't have money to do this whole entire plan that we want to do. I would like to see string lighting, matter of fact, like right out here. You know, a lot of this lighting is actually quite stale. You know, if you look and see what other river districts have done, they have really done things dynamic. I know this is not your bailiwick, this is probably for DIG. I want to meet with them. Because I think it's important. I don't feel comfortable, I'm not going to support moving forward today with these designs. Unless this is like the allocation of money to get things done. And I think to Councilwoman Taylor's, you know, when would we see some of these improvements? But I worry that we're focusing on an area that's already had quite a bit of improvements when there's other areas that really, really need it. And there's actually, one of the things, and we need to talk to them in depth, is the safety along the river. And really assessing where are people, are they, you know, living there? Because no, we did ordinances, you cannot live and sleep along the river because it's so dangerous, right? Not to mention the preservation, it's our drinking water. I know a lot, that might be unpopular with a lot of people. I feel very, very strongly about it. And so the plan for that, you know, as well, I think protecting that flood wall is really critical. That's not on us, that's gonna be on flood. And then the other thing where I've heard a lot of concerns, and we haven't had these conversations, but the cantilever area, the museum was very concerned because at one time they were approached, I guess, about some permitting behind there. I think you probably know, Brian, what I'm talking about. Was Eric Eidelstein approached them about maybe you guys were going to do some expansion over there? Or do you know what I'm talking about? Maybe that was before your time.
Well, I think this is part of the solution to that. There's not the space to, I mean, their property is where it is, and then the bank goes into the river. So this is part of
When's
a
the last
solution.
time you met with them?
A few months ago.
Okay. You got to really just keep them in the conversations and knowing what's going on, because they reached out concerned about needing all these permitting. We asked them to pay for it.
There's a contract that we had with them that was being explored for some maintenance behind there, but this is a
Not
different
anything to
than
do
that.
with this, right?
This is a different solution than that.
Okay. All right. So I just want to make sure they're also at the table because they had some concern.
Yes.
Okay, I would have just, like I said, I would love to know what the thought was, like why this area, why not other, you know, parts of the river? And we don't have a lot of money, so my fear is that we won't see these improvements because we're sort of spreading them out all over the place, where especially like in downtown, the uses, because over there it's beautiful. There's been flowers that are planted. Look at the beautiful pathway down there. It's awesome, right? So
one of the reasons why this area has been prioritized right now is that we've been notified by the Truckee Meadows Flood Management Authority that the flood wall is going to be the next thing that's pursued here. And so if we're not involved in that in this time, we could be not at the table and end up with them building something here that actually really makes this area not what it takes away all of these improvements. So that's the reasoning behind it. So I just want to,
Amy,
so I just
haven't done a damn thing.
Yeah,
I'm
so I just want
sorry.
to share the reasoning.
I'm sorry, but
and
they
then
haven't done
the safety of
anything.
the lake.
And I was on that board, and I will believe it when I see it.
Okay.
They do nothing. And Councilwoman Dewar is on that board, and she can attest to that. Now, Councilman Martinez is on that board, and you can attest to it. And quite honestly, it's because you have a lot of politicking going on from other jurisdictions. So I'm just calling it out because it's been particularly problematic. I don't think that will ever happen. Anyway, that's just my experience.
Yeah. Yes.
So
And
I don't want to wait or worry about what they're doing.
Sure.
So
And we did have lots of a lot of our negative comments were actually about this part of the path in our outreach. And it was actually that people love it so much.
Yeah,
But the
'cause
sidewalk
it's
there
used the most.
is not ADA accessible.
Yeah.
It's too narrow. People can't get down it, and it's dark.
And that's where I think
And
RTC should also be at the table and spending some money to expand it.
And they are at the table in our conversations about the cycle track that would be improved on the street.
Yeah. Well, they need to be at the table as well.
Yes, we've
It's
met
just
with
painful
them.
trying to get everyone on the same page. One of the reasons you're hearing a lot about that area is because it's the most used. And bravo, thank goodness. But my goal is I would like other parts of the river to be used, especially there's some parts that are really, really dangerous over there, you know, by the museum and areas that really need some love. So I feel like we're putting some love into an area that gets a lot of love already. And so I just want you to think about expanding it for other people that don't have the access, like if you live down there.
Yes, I
So,
understand.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, Councilwoman Dewar.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, first of all, I want to agree in part and disagree in part with what you just said, Mayor. I agree that a lot of time we've spent time doing and redoing certain areas, and then to the detriment of other areas that could be enhanced. So I 100% agree on that. I do want to say I've spent a fair amount of time diving into this cantilever path, and I think it would be amazing. I really do. It would be a combination almost of a walk and a ride. So when I say that, I know when I was a kid, we would go in the mountains and they would have these flumes that were elevated walkways in river canyons. And it was totally exciting for us kids to be elevated in the air and being able to walk along water. And I know that kids and adults would love being able to walk in this section of the river if we did this cantilevered plan. So I'm all behind it. My biggest concern is where's the money coming from to build it? And the staff have continued to say, well, if we get the design, then we can apply for grants. And I haven't seen this before. I mean, I've been able to apply for grants without designs, but I wonder, I wanted to hear more about what makes them think that when we get a design, this will be fundable.
Thank you for the question, Councilmember Dewar. This is Brian McCardle, Revitalization Manager for the record. The redevelopment agency will be coming out of debt in the next few years. There will be a capital improvement plan associated with that. Once this long-term river plan is established, I'm going to assume that a lot of the suggested improvements in that plan will be included in that future redevelopment agency capital improvement plan for future improvements along the river, along the streetscapes in downtown. And some of these designs will be using these ARPA funds remaining so that when we're ready and prepared, these designs will be completed and the funding will be ready once the redevelopment agency Area 1 is out of debt. So,
well, that's a pretty inspiring answer. I didn't see that coming, frankly. So what you're saying is that redevelopment funds could become available. What I heard Amy say was about grant funds, and I didn't know who she thought in the grant funding world might want to participate.
Yep. Yeah, Amy Pennington for the record. We have been looking at like different transportation types of funding with RTC, and there's a lot of types of funding for micromobility. And so those would be the ones that oftentimes you can't go for an automobile road, but micromobility paths have a lot of funding available because of those sorts of opportunities.
Okay. The only other thing I'm worried about is doing a design, and then do we have to redo the design? Is it just like a 30% design and then we stop and it's usable to the next phase?
This funding would be for full design.
Well, what I get worried about is that if there's a time gap between when we finish the design and when the money's coming, often there has to be a redesign. And so that's what I'm a little concerned about. But nevertheless, I think it's an amazing part of the project. It would add something really fun and interesting and capitalize on something we have. Maybe not as fun as a kayak park, but more accessible than a kayak park, right? Because many more people would be able to walk on and can jump in a kayak. And you would have new views that you haven't had before. So I really, really like that aspect of the project. To the mayor's point about the flood project, well, we've brought the river wall, if I call it that, down by Booth Street and Riverside to the flood project now twice. I'm still a little confused about what they've said. They seem to be very particular about what elements they're willing to fund versus, I mean, Amy tried to get in there pretty diplomatically. And I think we need to break down those barriers. And I have brought this up to them a dozen times that they continue to say, that certain recreation elements are not fundable. And I completely disagree. They're reading the law differently than I am. And, but that's how they're reading it. And I don't know if a different lawyer, or we might get a legislative review or a review from Attorney General. But anyway, I think they're reading the language too strictly. Any benches that are along a path, any path that's along a flood wall should be fundable. We built other paths along walls already at the Reno Sparks Indian Colony with no problem. So I don't know where I understand we have a difference of opinion between us and flood about this topic. But anyway, all that said, I do want to move forward. I am worried because it's just like take the lights. So in 10 years, maybe this is all the money we have, and in 10 years, you guys say, well, the lights have lived their useful function. It's time to replace the lights again. And so that's why I think, to the mayor's point, we get into this over and over and over again, because we have to maintain and replace what we've built. So it's always a concern that we're not expanding. We're just taking care of what we have. So I totally hear the mayor on this. Well, that's all I have for the moment. I'm supportive, but I did have those questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, I don't have any questions. I just appreciate the thoughtfulness that has happened here with the design and working with the Flood Management Authority Board. I definitely hear your concerns, and hopefully we can push those projects forward.
And I appreciate you guys, because I know you're a little high outnumbered over there.
We're trying to establish some more collaboration over there.
I can get anything done, so
Get it?
it's tough.
Yep. We'll do our best.
Be good advocates. For the Councilwoman,
What's that?
I wanted to know, for the record, you were previously, in your past life, the director of the Flood Management Project, correct?
Right.
So would you agree that you have some expertise in this realm?
Yes, I do. And I told them that I wrote the law. And so I think my interpretation of the law and my intent in writing the law should matter. And they did not think so.
Yeah.
So
Well, again, this is politics at its finest, and it's really sad that it comes down to that the river and the other projects get completely blindsided by things like this. So I appreciate your work over there, but you can tell I'm very, very frustrated, like beyond. Anyway, okay, are there any questions from council? Oh, sorry, hold on one second, Councilwoman Taylor. I think, is Councilman Reese on, possibly? Yes. He is.
I am, Madam Mayor.
Do you have any comments?
Well, I find myself sort of between you and Councilmember and Vice Mayor Dewar's position, in as much as I am very excited for the opportunity for us to start doing refresh on the river, because I think one project leads into another project, which creates positive momentum. I just want to make sure that we feel confident that these are the very next steps. And I had the opportunity to meet with DIG, and that was a very good meeting. And I do like everything that you're showing me. I'm a little bit unsure about the financial wherewithal of the city to carry out the entirety of the vision. And so for my part, I am supportive of the action items today and know that we're on a very tight timeline. But I just want us to make sure that we think very critically about Madam Mayor's statement about the long-term funding source for the river. I am very excited, of course, about redevelopment authority or redevelopment agency monies being available to us to be able to direct in this area. Every city that has a vibrant river and downtown area related to it takes very good care of their river environment. And so I want us to make sure that that is at the forefront. I, like many of you, am always rooting for the success of downtown. And I think it happens in our plazas, it happens along the river, it happens in our parks. I mean, look, I was downtown last night for an event that was on the Locomotion Plaza that was wildly successful. And of course, I want to see that replicated on our Believe Plaza. And to do that, we've got to have some of these upgrades and improvements to lighting and colors. And I know we're working on different kinds of elements in different plazas. They're all related for me in my mind, Madam Mayor. So I am supportive of the activities today. Just want to make sure we keep pressing forward and creating that environment that we all want to recreate and play along this river. Very important for all of us.
All right, thank you so much. All right, any other questions? Okay, seeing that there are none, I'm gonna, oh, sorry, go ahead, Councilwoman Taylor.
Thank you. I'm going to make a comment, and then I have a question. Question first is, when you say repaint, we are getting rid of maroon, right?
Please.
Okay.
Yes.
And what color are
We've
we?
tried to
I mean,
do
I
that
don't
for
care
10
what.
years.
Just
We're going with black.
okay.
Ooh.
Not in love with black, but okay.
But isn't that hot? And I had heard we were going with blue.
You want all the railings painted blue?
Huh?
You want all the railings painted blue?
I feel like white. I mean,
I
don't care. I'm not going to get into the details, just as long as it's not purple.
Yeah, but which railings? Because I was talking about the overheads over there.
Yeah, we're looking at painting the overheads, all of the railings, all the bridges, the light poles that are looking like they need to be painted a little bit of a refresh because they look faded and old. Most of it's black.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, yes, that is the plan. It's black.
Okay, as long as it's easily accessible, it can be refreshed, we can reorder it. I guess you guys make those details. And then I'm going to make a comment. What I don't want, or what I would prefer, is not to spend a whole bunch of money on design for projects that we can't build. So that doesn't do anybody any good, because then they sit on a shelf and then you got to bring them back, and then people have changed and things have changed and you got to start the process over. So if we can design it and build it and get stuff out there, I want stuff. I want stuff. And if we can, just could you refresh us on what we already approved? Because I think we're seeing this in chunks and we're not understanding. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on. There are other things that we're going to get in this river refresh, right?
Yes, and so with the $3 million, the first thing that you all approved was the overall vision plan, or pursuing the overall vision plan with DIG. The value of that is going to be huge for our region. And so we are going to be going out for another round of public outreach with that. And then once that plan is finalized and adopted by council, it will take a lot of strategy with RDA funds, different types of funds, to see how these big vision projects come to fruition along the river. So that's a huge
Amy,
value.
I think if we just stop there for a second, what I understood from DIG was the reason that we're doing this part is because the stuff further east, or from Wingfield, the stuff further east, when we get the new bridges and stuff, we can't get those projects done in the time of the ARPA funding. So these are things that we can do right now in this location. And then once maybe RDA money comes in and we have a bigger pot of money and not such strict or constraints on the schedule, we can still work further east along the river.
Yes, and we have projects that have been developed that we just need community approval, that's what we want to do on the eastern part of the river. But I think once the overall vision plan is approved and we know what the goals are, finding funding opportunities and pursuing these projects, I think it will be a snowball effect. That's my opinion. What was the other thing you asked?
No, that was it. I think we all went more on the river.
Yeah,
we all went more east, but this is stuff that we can do right now. We have limited time. We have the funding. We can do it. We need a little bit more.
Downtown, what we'll be seeing is we're going to be doing a wayfinding, basically branding thing for down the corridor. So you'll see new signage that's in line with a new kind of branding scheme that is going to build on what One Truckee River and there was a bunch of groups that came together in 2021 to do that, and so we're building on that brand, which is going to be really good to continue in the downtown core along the river as well. So you'll see signage, you'll see your closed trash cans, you'll see the animal waste, you'll see the lighting downtown be refreshed along the river, the globe lights, as well as the new lighting along Riverside Drive. And and West Street Plaza. Leslie Plaza is going to be awesome. So it's going to have a kiosk, it's going to have a park ranger station. We're trying to figure out how to have an emergency call spot there.
Is that Brick Park?
Yes.
Okay, which is awesome, because that's the educational component.
Yes.
And I know One Truckee River. Is it good, like hub and community
Yes.
gathering place for the river?
It's going to be,
That's awesome.
parks will have a big play in that, and so to tying those in. We also were just talking to electrical about having like cafe lighting up in that area as well. So lots of fun ideas there.
And that's really good, because that's where we tend to have a lot more people. It's safer because there's a lot more people down there, and it's much more developed. And in the areas where we're seeing higher amounts of crime is really where we should be focusing on the lighting and ways to get more people in those areas, because we know once we turn the lights on and we have more activities, that's why, the wayfinding and all of that is so good, because it really helps with the crime.
Yes.
So that's what, one thing I do want to point out, and I don't mean to be difficult, because, it's really interesting sometimes that I sometimes feel like staff might not understand that we wear the outcome of what is, designed or what's brought in. Immediately, everyone thinks I went out there and put up that sign, right? Like, literally. And so I think we get sensitive to what it looks like and what the user experience is going to be. And we really, really want to get this right. So I don't want to be difficult. I want to move forward, because I also know that staff is going to say, oh my God, we're under this timeline. I know how, I've heard this a million times. And I get that. But I want to move forward, but I'm not in love with this lighting plan. I would like to revisit that. So how do we get there without diverting everything? Because I think there's a lot that you're doing that's right. The cantilever thing, I think that sounds awesome, but I just want to make sure that we are not causing the museum to have to spend more money, or some money they came to me and were concerned about. So just want to make sure.
No.
So, and again, that's a part of the river that I was just walking over there, and it wasn't good. It needs a lot of help, and particularly the lighting, the safety. There's some real challenges over there. Those are the kinds of things I want addressed in downtown, like along the river, right? So we can make this river safe for everyone.
Yeah, so that area behind Museum Drive, the only way to really make that, obviously lighting is one thing, but the only way to make that path safer is to build a cantilever path there. So that is why this is included, because that will actually create the path where people can safely get to Broadhead Park and get to John Champion. So this is a key link in that chain that we would love to see move forward, so we can continue to make those improvements going east along the river. Without that, we do hear that connectivity seems to feel like it just stops when you get to Lake Street.
No, I think it's totally cool. Brian, can I just ask you a few questions? I know you were in Boise, Idaho. This is something that I know I've talked to you about it in nauseam, whatever. I want you to kind of tell us what you learned there. What are some of the things that we can implement? And they're really getting it right.
Yeah.
And so I want us to get it right as well. What can you tell me?
Storytelling time for
Okay,
Riverfronts.
storytelling.
So I've been to Calgary, Brian McCardle, Revitalization Manager. I visited Calgary and Boise. Calgary has just finished exactly what is being proposing here today. They did a new flood wall. It's a corrugated flood wall. They made a bike path and a walking path, new lighting, new landscaping, new design. It brought their entire downtown and the riverfront to life.
Yeah.
And then it started to percolate and extend to other areas.
Okay.
In terms of Boise, Boise has a less improved riverfront, but it does get a lot of activity. It is just a standard asphalt path. But it feels contiguous all the way.
Yeah.
You can enter it, you can go as far as you want, and there's not points where you feel like you lose the path. It's unmaintained in areas. It is a unified design. So anywhere you enter and engage with it, it just feels complete. And that is what this vision plan is supposed to do, is to give us a long-term plan to make sure that the river feels like it's an intentional, singly designed all the way through so that it's an experience.
Yeah.
Some of these improvements, Amy was right in saying that this is a huge bottleneck to allowing people to engage on east of the river. There are no nodes of activity east of the river, so it's very difficult to try to encourage people to head east of the river. There's no destination to go to. And so you could improve it. The worry is, if you build it, will they come? And so the idea of peak-on-peak demand is, we heard a lot of public engagement. They all loved the area of Riverside Drive, and they had a list of improvements they would love to see along the Riverside Drive so that they themselves could utilize the river more and more and more. I think those spillover activities will encourage more use along the river. Once people come down the river more, they'll feel free to explore a little bit further and further, and we'll get there.
Yeah. You're
Did I answer your
optimistic.
question?
You're so optimistic.
If
I
I'm
love
anything,
it.
I'm
No,
optimistic.
I love that you're learning all this. But again, I just worry so much because we're not investing in other parts of the river that have been challenging for people for safety, number one.
Yeah.
We're not, that's a problem, that we're not investing in the safety. So when you talk about, oh, people will go like this, they're not going to go like this if we only keep saying this is really the river and these are the improvements, this area to this area. That's what concerns me the most.
That's exactly what we asked DIG to do, and that'll be in that plan.
Okay.
Safety, areas to engage in the river, but safety, lighting, cleanliness, definitely. It was one of the 4 scopes of work. So we will get that plan.
Okay,
This is just a piece before it. Under a condensed timeline, what can we do now with the resources we have? We can do block and tackle some of the big projects that we're gonna do, I think, eventually. We can take some of those now. Yeah, did I answer all your questions?
Yes, I think you
Next
did a
time, come
good
with
job.
us on those trips.
Good job.
Chattanooga or some
Yeah.
other city will be next on the list.
Anyway, okay, thank you so much. So I want to get there. I don't love the lighting plan. How do we do that to get some input, and you could bring that back? We could approve this, but I would like another shot at the apple just so that I feel comfortable. I am a big believer of the string lighting. If you go and look at certain cities, like, and we talked about this, but it still hasn't come to fruition. But putting string lighting around Virginia's lake, Naomi and I have been talking about that for a long time. It makes such a big difference of the ambiance in the area and safety. And these are things that cities can do that really, don't cost a lot, unless, of course, our infrastructure, which we don't have downtown, is obviously very problematic. So I know I have staff watching right now, particularly Ashley's shaking her head, going, no. But if you have the infrastructure in place, I would think.
So we do not have the infrastructure in place to hang string lighting on Riverside Drive, if that's where you're talking about. But what I would love to be able to do today is if we can approve this, I mean, the concept of design is that we would be having an iterative process to actually design this. So we could have approval for this project and actually come back to you with the final design to be approved before we build it.
Yeah, that would be good. I wasn't talking about string lighting again on Riverside. Again, I feel like Riverside has gotten love, you guys.
Okay, well, so
we need to give love to other parts of the river.
So the area on...
It's all worthy, we just only have so much money.
Sure, of course. The area that's around West Street Plaza, and extended from there, between Sierra and Virginia, we're looking at doing that type of lighting, in addition to the globe lights.
Great, that's what I want to hear, those areas that just have been overlooked.
Yeah, so that was part of our project, the approval last month has money for those sorts of improvements.
And I think Councilwoman Taylor's right, we're seeing it sort of this way, so I think we forget, what did we approve?
Yes, you're right, it is a difficult
sometimes
order to do it. I'm sorry about that.
I apologize for frustrating you, because I think these agendas are big and there's so much going on that sometimes you forget that we were, what we did at that time.
Sure. So as far as the projects today, because the ones you're talking about for West Street in that area are not included in these particular approvals, but I'm happy to work.
When are we?
We can make sure that we check in with council on the design on that in briefings or something like
Because
that.
see, I think that area is particularly one of the most important.
Totally.
Because
It's right downtown.
and we see a lot of activity down there that's challenging. So I really want to work on the areas that are particularly challenging.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Versus the ones that have
Okay,
had
yep.
love.
so we've already approved that one though. So today,
Okay.
these are the projects for today that, I mean, we don't,
Yeah.
it's up to you whether or not we approve them, obviously. But I do think that with Riverside Drive, there is questions about how should the lighting look in the end and stuff like that. And so if we can get the approval to proceed with this
And is that through
design,
DIG?
then we can come back.
Yeah, is
Yes.
that DIG is the one that's, okay.
Helping design, yes.
All right. So if we could, we're going into break. When can we bring that back, Carrie?
Sorry?
When can we bring the lighting back? Because I know we're going into break.
Well, what I would say is we'd need probably a couple months to refine the design.
Okay.
Carrie Koski, Director of Public Works, City Engineer. I would say for at least a couple of months, so we're probably talking about September-ish, we could have something back to the council on the lighting design along Riverside Drive. And then one of the things that Amy was working on is maybe some alternatives using the bases we already have out there for the lighting. So
Yeah.
maybe we could cut some cost, and then maybe we would be able to bring back to you like what money, a pot of money we might have left, and we could utilize that in other areas, and then give you a chance to look at the type of lighting we have designed.
Okay, thank you so much.
And we will have the design for the flood wall. I'm thinking that's going to happen here as well. They'll be coming back to council
All right.
for an agreement for the flood wall.
I appreciate that. And first of all, Carrie, you are truly one of the most talented people I know. I don't know how you do all this. I don't know how you get it done and do what you do. You're like Superwoman. It is crazy.
I have an awesome
You have a
team.
good, well, that helps too. But I've worked with you for a long time, and you've been like so understaffed, and so I don't know how you've done any of this. You do a remarkable job. The one thing I would ask is that when you see this coming down, especially through the flood project, they should come to council and present it to us. I know that you're probably a lot nicer than I am when you send an email, but it would be nice for them to come and present when they're ready. But again, you know, I sat on that board for a long time. I've heard things over and over again, and I've seen nothing. So I'm not going to worry about it until it happens. But I would say, you know, they need permits from us to do the work, and to also on our streets and the access. So I look at it as a partnership, and that we should, if we're going to do anything, we got to do it together.
Yes.
And figure out what that looks like.
Yes,
So-
and the board members, Councilman Martinez and Councilwoman Dewar have been extremely helpful in helping me navigate that whole process. And we will be bringing something back to council.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Okay, I hope that helps. Does that help? We're going to make a motion, and we will meet with DIG.
Yep.
Just to kind of express that. Amy, is it pretty clear? What do you think?
The design piece, we can do that contract.
I think if we move forward with the motion as it is, and then I commit to bringing this back before we actually build anything.
Okay, perfect.
Does that sound like?
Go ahead.
Do we need to say something about the lights that are in the presentation, the two different styles, or will that be what comes back in September-ish?
Yeah, we could, with the design process, we can workshop the lighting.
Okay, all right.
With you all.
Yes.
Thank
We can
you. All right.
Set up a meeting, workshop
Thanks.
that.
All right, any more questions? No? Okay, then I will make the motion as is, and then obviously I trust Carrie, because she knows I'll make her walk along the river with me and point it out. Carrie! Anyway, so, okay, then I'll motion. Second. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
And I.
All right. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, thanks, you guys. Thanks for listening to me and all my gripes. I just want to get it right. It's going to be so great.
That would be great.
I just don't want it to be like that one regret whenever I leave council that I'm like, oh my gosh, the river. All right. Thanks, Brian. Good job. Okay, next, Madam Clerk.
All right, Madam Mayor, we're moving on to item G1, which is an appointment to the Historical Resources Commission from Councilmember Dorr.
All right, go ahead, Councilwoman Dewar. The floor is all yours.
Yes, I'm going to wait and bring this back at the first meeting in July. Thanks.
Okay. How you feeling?
I'm hanging in there. Thank you.
Oh, I feel so bad for you. I was there last.
I'll be better.
I was there last
You were there
week.
when?
I know, it's
Last week.
miserable. Okay. All right, Madam Clerk.
Madam Mayor, we're on item H1, City Council comments.
All right, any council comments? Councilwoman Ebert, anything? No? Okay. Councilwoman Taylor?
Nothing for me, Madam Mayor.
Thanks.
I just wanted to say this weekend in downtown Reno was fantastic.
I'm so glad you mentioned
Brian
that.
and his team and Rachel, the Latin dancers and the food trucks, and Nathan at Paradise Park with the summer recreation rollout. It was just really a fantastic weekend around Reno. So thanks everybody who made that happen.
So awesome. Talk about a little bit about last night. Because I'm getting like blown up over the roller skating event.
I think there was
last
over
night.
1,000 people over at the roller skating event. We need to make it bigger. We need to have like a roller skating crawl and get the other lid going and close down streets. It was pretty amazing for a Tuesday night in
I
Reno.
love that idea.
Yeah.
That's such a great idea. I personally think it should be permanent in the summer. We need a permanent outdoor roller skating rink, right? All right, Councilman Martinez, anything?
Nope, nothing from me. Thank
No?
you. Appreciate it.
And Councilwoman Breckus is not here. So that's it, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We're moving on to J1, which is closing public comment. If you're in the Zoom meeting and would like to make public comment, please raise your hand at this time. For the record, we did additionally receive 5 comments, which were either general in nature, received after 4 p.m. yesterday, 3 letters in favor, 1 letter in opposition, and 1 letter of concern. Those have been distributed to Reno City Council and are a part of the meeting on reno.gov. We do not have any hands raised in Zoom, and so I am looking for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
You guys have a great day. And I appreciate such a productive meeting.